Hello guys and welcome to the course. So in here what we'll do is a lot of leg exercises, sculpting, but also drawing. Some of the exercises will be over bones to see where all the muscles attach and the ligaments, tendons, and where the bones are connected to that. But others will be just really from scratch, just from a sphere. Sculpting. Why sculpting? Because sculpting, this is Blender, this is a free program. Sculpting is the best way to learn anatomy because you see it from all angles. And if you make a mistake, then it will be visible. So even for 2D artists, I think this will be useful. Here we have a huge file, puref file with a lot of references that we will use. For example, this is for the knee, this is for overall muscles. Here we'll understand some names of the muscles that you have never known. Like for example, my favorite muscle in the leg turns out to be the tensor fasciae latae. So the muscles of the leg, they are muscles which are pretty complex and we don't actually need to know their names too much, but some of them are interesting and we should, because they are also important. Like the quadriceps, for example. Who doesn't know the quadriceps muscle? This one in the front, the biggest muscle probably in the human body, a muscle group. We have stylized legs, female legs of course. Stylized, we have scans, 3D scans of legs, on which we can make sure that our knowledge of anatomy is actually correct, because when you're using things like this, which are just anatomy drawings, then you are missing out on something. You are always relying on someone else's perception, even if the guy who is making this anatomy book, which is amazing by the way, the Anatomy for Sculptors, even if they are very good in anatomy, they can make mistakes here and there, which are very, very tiny. But you can always compare with scans and pictures of really big, huge legs, because on bodybuilders you can see the muscles the better. So we will do in this course, I will give you this file of course with the references that I have collected for a couple of years maybe. This is a leg from muscles. I will sculpt them in front of you. This is legs from planes, just planes of the legs. This is just the foot. We will talk about the foot and the forms and the shapes, what's making the foot. We'll talk about this, which is something like leg from planes, but it's not exactly, because this is from Bridgman anatomy. And it's pretty interesting because Bridgman anatomy is... I will explain that for you. This is female legs, how they work and why they're different from male legs. These are normal male legs, not very muscular, not made with muscles, with everything that is normal on a male leg. These are huge, humongous, bodybuilder or Hulk legs, like huge. These are stylized female legs that we will do. Stylized male legs also, pretty stylized actually. And at the end we will do a bent leg, because this is interesting how the things are going around this area of the knee when the leg is bent. They're not exactly the same as with the straight leg. There are some things that change a little bit, but we will talk about this. Of course, we will have also our leg bones to support us in this huge journey. So another thing I want to say is, if you are not good in sculpting, but you want to try it, there are some courses that I have. I have courses for beginners for Blender. There are two of them, with the mouse and with the rabbit. They're relatively the same, but with a different character. Whatever character you like, you can check them out. This is courses for Blender for characters for intermediate artists. So if you are relatively good in Blender, you can handle yourself, you can try to make those characters. They are made from scratch. Everything is without any speed ups or time travels or whatever. I have other courses for anatomy, for example, arm and hand anatomy exercises. It's similar to this one that we did now, that we will do now for the legs, but it's for arms and hands. This is for heads, and it's pretty useful, by the way. We do some skeletons, planes of the head, female head, male head. Superhuman anatomy for artists is just basically male anatomy here, and female anatomy for artists is what it is said. I have also ZBrush course for beginners, ZBrush course for advanced people with this cyberpunk girl, and other courses. You can check them out. This is a 3D game character in Blender course. absolutely full character from scratch with retopology, with everything, Blender, and a little bit of Substance Painter at the end. So that's it, and I hope you will have a great time in this course. We'll see. So first, when we start learning the legs, we need to learn some of the bones. Of course, the bones are the basics of the legs, so we need to learn the bones. Let's see. So what is this? This big thing here is the pelvis. So this is the pelvis. And as you can see, we have arrows on both sides, but that doesn't distract you. So this pelvis. Pelvis. Amazing. What is this? Nobody knows. But this is the pelvis. So the second bone here, or the first actual bone of the leg, is the femur. So this is the femur. This is one of the biggest and strongest bones, maybe the biggest actually bone in the human body, the femur. The upper leg bone, femur. So let's call it femur. And I'm saying those names. We will not tell the names of all the muscles in the leg because they are kind of complex and you don't need to know them. You need to know all the basic forms, shapes, and how to go to them. So the femur, but the bones are important. So femur is here. We have the tibia, which is this big bottom bone, the bigger one. The smaller one is fibula. So tibia and fibula. And this little thing here is your kneecap, which is called patella. And those bones here on the bottom are the bones of the foot. We don't care about them that much today. So, very, very common mistake I see when we draw or sculpt a leg from the front view is that people are starting like this. And they're making the leg like this. Where is the mistake? The leg actually don't start like this. It starts like this because leg muscles are attached to the pelvis here and in this area. So the leg actually starts from a tilted line, very tilted line. And yeah, let's see how the leg is on absolutely base shape. And this is one of the first principles of drawing or sculpting the leg from the front. We have to make sure that the leg is the widest in the beginning, and then it starts going narrower and narrower up to the end. So this is the base. As you can see, those legs, this looks like trousers, but those legs are looking relatively normal legs. If we make certain points much wider, like some people are doing, for example, making muscular legs, and they're making something like this, which is absurd. I mean, you cannot do that. And they are starting the leg right from here, and they're making the leg wider in this area than in this area, which is not the case. In muscular people especially, we will get to that in some of the other lessons where we will sculpt super muscular Hulk leg. But in muscular people, here we don't have separation between the legs. Even if the legs are spread, here we will have a big kind of a touching of the muscles and the forms and the shapes as a whole. But this doesn't matter right now. So, first principle, the leg is wider at the top, narrower at the bottom, and gradually gets narrower. Second principle is the inner portion of the leg. Okay, let's make where the leg starts. The inner portion of the leg is kind of a straight line. Not exactly, but we'll get to that. It's more like a straight line. The outer portion of the leg is more like a straight line, then a curve, then a straight line, then a curve, and that's it. So this is the basics of the leg from the front, but there are many things that will make it a little bit more interesting later, but this is just a base, This straight line in the middle though, it's not exactly straight. As you can see, it's not exactly straight, but most of the features of the inner portion of the leg are lying on this kind of a straight line. So let's try to draw a little bit more complicated leg, complex leg. So with a little bit more features, and let's see what kind of muscles and what is happening there. So first we start from here and we go a little bit like kind of away, but not too much, a little bit more down. Then we go a little bit away, so from here, let's do it with straight lines, it will be better. Then a straight line along the leg, kind of, this is the quadriceps muscle. Then we go in because the quadriceps muscle is ending, and we have a straight line down to this point of the fibula. This is the fibula, little bone here. So the top of the fibula, we have this straight line. What is this straight line? This straight line is the tendon of the quadriceps muscle hitting the fibula on this point. By the way, it's wrong. This is not the tendon of the quadriceps muscle because the quadriceps muscle actually continues and attaches to the fibula in here, its tendon. And this is the tendon of the hamstring muscle from the back, but it doesn't matter right now. So we have a line which is crossing here, and as you can see, we have this kind of a crossing. It doesn't matter right now. What matters is from here, from this point, which is a very good bony landmark, we start to go outward because this is our, we see a little bit of the calf in the back, and then we go in until we reach this point here, which is the ankle or the outside ankle. Let's delete this a little bit and it's fine. Now this is the side leg. So let's go to the inner leg. The inner leg, usually, even when I go into the mirror and I see my legs, which are together, not spread like this, but together, usually there is just a one line in here, one line coming down, 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 and it's, you cannot see anything. It's just a line, and then it goes a little bit out from here, and we have this kind of bump and go in, as we see it here. So in some people, you will have a little bit of a something in here. So this is your sartorius muscle, that it's very important. We will talk about it. And these are your inner thigh muscles. And between them, we can see a rhomb. It's a see-through rhomb. In some people, in very muscular people, this doesn't exist. Here, when the legs are collected together, here it's all like non-visible. Everything is touching here until the knee, and then it separates and it makes a couple of rhombs. Now this will be our calves from the inner portion, and then we will go and again bony landmark the ankle area. The calves usually are touching in this area like this, if the legs are again collected together. And then we will have our feet, which are kind of triangular if we make them. If we want to make them a little bit better, we'll make fingers. We'll make the big toe. I mean, not fingers but toes. The big toe, and it will be a little bit more complex. But the main idea, as I told you, is we start from kind of a triangular portion, which is our pelvis. Because if we start from a straight line and we go down like this, it will not work quite well, the legs. So be careful about that. This is mostly about the legs in the front. Other thing I want to tell you, we can separate the legs from the front in a couple of parts. So first part will be the first part is here, the upper leg overall. So it will be kind of this part. Yeah, here, especially in male, it's pretty much close together. So this is the first part. The second part will be the knee area. And the knee box, we can call it. Although it's not exactly a box, but there's an area where there are no muscles. Especially from the front, there are no muscles in this area of the leg, on the knee area. So the knee area here have no muscles, only tendons and a little bit of fat here around the kneecap, but mostly tendons. And after that, it starts the other part, which are the calves and how they do. So the other thing that you must not forget about the leg is it's not symmetrical. I mean, legs together are symmetrical, one to another, but the leg itself, one leg, is not symmetrical. One side of the leg to the other side of the same leg is not symmetrical at all. Let me explain So if we get the legs spread, so some people are making this like this, like this, like this, and like this. And this is not good at all. I mean, you see, it's kind of completely symmetrical on this line. This is not a good leg. A good leg would be if we go first like this, then we go make this kind of a bump, but then we stop at some point because the muscle kind of ends, as you can see, a little bit higher in the outside. Then we go up to this point of the fibula, then we make a slight turn on the outside, and then we go inside like this. From the inner portion, we have the inner thigh muscles, Then we have the sartorius muscle wrapping around the tibia and connecting around this area of the tibia. So it and some of the thigh muscles are making this kind of a thing. And then on a little bit lower, we start with our inner calf muscle. And it's overall not exactly symmetrical. As you can see, it's not symmetrical at all. If you make it symmetrical, it will look bad. As you can see, this point, the outer point, which is the outermost point of the calves here, is way up than the outermost point of the calf in the inner portion. So I even didn't make it quite well. So it needs to be even like this. And now it's more dynamic. So you can make the leg like Michelin Man, so the same, and even don't make the knee area, and it can look like a leg a little bit, but it will never be a real nice and dynamic looking leg, realistic also looking leg. It will look like somebody who doesn't know how to make legs, which is normal, and that's why I'm doing this course, because I want to help you learn how to make legs better. Not just make legs, but make them legs better. Okay, that's cool. Now, this is mostly how the leg is drawn from the front view, but how do we draw the leg from the side view? Okay, first, let's see, this is our bones, but, and again, this is the femur bone, the biggest bone in the human body. This is the tibia, and the fibula is this kind of a tiny little thing here. And both the tibia and the fibula are making the ankle kind of a protrude in both sides. But we will talk about it a lot more. We will talk about all those things a lot more in the later parts of those lessons. So don't worry if you don't understand everything. Don't worry if you don't remember those names. I will not throw too much names at you. We will learn about the quadriceps group of muscles. We will learn about the ass. That's normal. Yeah, the butt, we have to. We will learn about the hamstrings, very important in the back. We will learn about the calves. We will learn about the knee area, which is one of the most important things, believe it or not. The knee area is, when you're making a leg, it will be the most detailed area in the normal leg, especially except if you have a super concentrated muscular and very bulky leg, then you will have a lot of detail everywhere. But as you can see here, this is almost kind of a smooth area. The bottom is relatively smooth, and here in the knee part we have some detail, and how to draw or sculpt this detail we will have to learn in this course. Not only that, of course, a lot more things. But let's concentrate on the leg here. So the leg from the front, from the side view, should look like this. I will draw it here. So we start a little bit down, and then we go forward and backward. So this is the quadriceps here. Then we have the knee area, and on the back we'll start a little bit higher, and this will be our ass, or gluteus maximus muscle that people are saying. Then we'll have a straight line down. I'm drawing it as a straight line. It usually is not exactly straight. It's kind of a, as you can see, a little bit curved, but still. Then we will have a line backwards, and then we'll have the calves starting and going away. Then here, instead of going completely down, like a straight line down, we will have a little bit of a forward curve and then down. This is a muscle which we will look at close-ups and anatomy drawings and everything about this muscle, because it is making this kind of a curve forward. Otherwise, the bone itself is curved backwards, as you can see. But this muscle is making overall shape of the leg curve forward. And then we will have our heel and the leg will continue forward. Here we will curve forward and this will be our basic leg. As you can see, it's looking relatively fine. So as straight line down, then it started to go backwards. These are the calves, the knee area here. It's overall not so muscular, especially in this area. The knee actually doesn't have almost any muscles. The only muscles that we have in the knee area are here, the calf muscles, because they are starting a little bit more up. They're starting around this area and they're going down. So we can see a little bit of a muscle in this particular area, a little bit of a muscle here, a little bit of a fat pad in this area, but mostly tendons and bones in the knee area. Even from the side view, even from the back view, we have tendons and bones, because the hamstring muscles, they are kind of this, and they start to become tendons and attaching to the end of the fibula in this top portion here. Then from that starts different muscles going down and such. So a lot of things, of course, we need to go through. This is our the top of the femur, and it's a good bony landmark. You can touch it if you try a little bit here in the middle between your ass and the front of your leg, like this. It should be around the middle, basically. And again, the quadriceps in the front, the hamstrings in the back, a little bit of a fat pad here. Then we have our calves, and we go down here, kneecap, from it down almost to the bone, because here we have tendons and bones, and then a little bit forward because of a muscle. Then we go to the bone, and then we go almost bony in this area here. And this is the leg from the side. It's not that bad. Many people are making the leg from the side, especially when they sculpt or draw. They're making it, let me show you how. They're making the ass, then they're making the leg like this, and the leg like this. And it looks like it's kind of kneeling a little bit. It doesn't have, you know, an area for the knee separated, which is not good. It starts from the pelvis to bend, which are mistakes after mistakes, which we should avoid if we listen to this guy here with the blue t-shirt and kind of do the things as we're supposed to do. By the way, when we're learning anatomy, whatever, doesn't matter if our legs or feet or arms or face, you listen to the guy who is talking, like me, or other people who are specialists in anatomy, but you have to also think for yourself. You have to also make sure you watch anatomy, which is real anatomy. So realistic, like scans, like we have here. This is a 3D scan from the best book of anatomy, which is Anatomy for Sculptors, of course. And many of my images here that I will show you are from this book, and they are amazing. We can see bones, we can see explanations, we can see the tendons, we can see fat pads, we can see a lot of things, and there are so much information in this book. And there are a couple of books. One is for the whole body, one is only for the faces, and everything is just Anatomy for Sculptors is probably the one book that you must have in your computer or in your possession if you buy it with PDF or if you buy it with paper. They are not sponsoring this video in any case, but I'm just so impressed with the quality of the books that I just have to advertise them. You know, I usually don't advertise anything, but only the things that I completely like and I use. For example, this is our program for references, and it's called PureRef. Of course, you need to have it in order to have this file, which is with all the references that I've collected for maybe more than 2 years. I've collected those references if needed. And yeah, so we were drawing the leg from the side view, we are drawing the legs from the front view, and you kind of start to understand a couple of things, how we need to do them in this. In the next video, we will start sculpting. And with sculpting in Blender, we will see the legs in more three-dimensional view. We will understand the shapes a little bit better. And I will begin by making just a simple shape and start to define it a little bit by little bit. But let's see that in the next video. Okay, now what do we do? We start to make the main shapes, watching this reference here that I have from Anatomy for Sculptors book. I know, unfortunately, we're always using that. And we start with a sphere. So later we will make a leg around the bones. We have bones in the project files, and you can open them in any program and try to do it in ZBrush, Blender, doesn't matter. You can also work with the images that I put in program files to just practice your legs around the skeleton in Photoshop or whatever drawing program of your choice. But let's start like this. So first we will increase the size of this. Of course, not exactly like this. Yes. So this will be our leg. Amazing leg, right? Yes, we know. Now we will go and add mirror because we want to see both legs. It will be more interesting this way. Like this. Okay. And now, how to start? As we know, the leg starts from kind of a plane which is not exactly straight. It's much tilted. So this will be our starting point like that. Then here in the middle, around the middle, we will squeeze because there are our knees. And we will push this from the side view backwards because, as you know, or probably don't know, but you will know that the leg is starting like straight line, then it's going forward, then it's going backwards, then it's going like this. Is not exactly the shape of the leg. This is the how is going overall the line of the leg. And this will be the front part. Then we'll have a knee. Then we'll have the bottom part like this. This is the straight line kind of. And then we'll have the ass here. Something like this will be our leg. That's what I'm trying to achieve here. And we will do it. Now we will have the ass area from the side view. As we know, the leg is starting to go down horizontally a little bit because our calf muscles, not calf, our quadriceps muscles, they are not attached up here where the leg starts. They're attached a little bit lower. That's why they're bumping lower than here. That's why we have this kind of a straight line down from the side view, as you can see it here. This is the belly, so you don't count it. We count only the leg, and the leg is starting down, and then it goes forward for to make this kind of a shape. And the shape is from the quadriceps muscle, which we will talk about in more detail later. We need more geometry, so I will smooth this out. If you don't know how to work with Blender, it's not a problem at all, because this is an anatomy course, this is not a course about Blender. You can check out my courses about Blender if you are interested, but it's not necessary as a whole. This is, I'm using Blender just to show you how you can show the muscles and the shapes and everything of the leg in this case. So, from the front view, as we know, most of the leg will be kind of touching in this area, although we will have a little bit of an inner portion here, so inner plane, as we see this. These are the inner leg muscles, we may call them, and they have other names, but we will not need to use them because it's too much. I don't think anybody should know all the names of all the muscles, and they are kind of a handful. There are a lot. So we will make the knee area. So the straight of the knee we need here, and this curve in the inner portion we need here, like this curve, and the straight of the knee in here. So the quadriceps is ending around this area, the bulky part of it, and then it continues as a tendon a little bit forward. In the backwards, we have the hamstring muscles, but we will talk about them later. And this is our separate point, which is the longest muscle in the human body, actually. Have I got you? Yes. Do you have your curiosity kind of excited? So the longest muscle in the human body is called sartorius. It's this muscle here. It's coming like this. It's a muscle which is long like a band, and it's coming from the top of the pelvis, the angle of the pelvis here in the front, and it's coming down, wrapping around, and ending right here. So it's pretty long. It's ending in the tibia, just below the kneecap, a little bit on the side. So partially, this kind of thing here, this bulk, this form, is because of this muscle ending there. But it's not only this muscle. They are, the hamstrings are also ending, one part of them are ending in this area too. So there's a little bit of a bulk, but it's mostly tendons. It's not exactly muscles there. That's why this bump is not huge, and it's mostly bone and tendons which are kind of covering the bone and making it a little bit rounder. Otherwise it will be more angular. Although in some people it's a little bit angular there, but it doesn't matter. Now let's push this outward, because here in this portion we don't have muscles actually. In this portion of the leg, the bottom, we have only bone. This here is the side of the tibia here in the bottom, and it's almost completely only bone in this area, and you can touch it. Above the bone there is something like a little bit of sheet of something, but it's not, there is no muscles there. Those are the calves in the back we're doing. And if you can do the leg from the side view properly and from the front view properly, you basically will be able to sculpt it without too much issue. Of course, when you know the shapes and the muscles, how they go, then everything will be more seamless and the leg will start to look amazing without too much of an issue. So now we have our basic shapes, although I think we need to go a little bit higher. When we don't have bones to help us, to guide us, it's a little bit more about our perception, and not only our perception, but you will see, we have to measure some things when we kind of end this. For example, you draw a leg, and then you have to measure a couple of things in order to make sure your leg is properly sized. Because, for example, we are making the box of the knee in this area here, which is great. We have the box of the knee, it's amazing, I like it. But if this box of a knee is here, for example, it will be too high. If it's here, it will be, if it's here, it will be too low, for example. So, where do we put it? We will talk about it when we put the feet. This is the end of our lesson, and goodbye. No, this is the end of our quadriceps here. So the quadriceps overall is, as we say, quadriceps. There are 4 muscles. Only 3 are visible on the surface, actually, in more muscular people. And the overall shape of the quadriceps is this, from the front. It's more like from here. This is not the quadriceps here, the top part. It's coming from a little bit from below, even more from below it's coming. So the quadriceps is this shape in here. And from above we have the the sartorium, which is, some people say the sartorium is called, they don't say it, but the sartorium is also called tailor's muscle, because the way the tailors were sitting back in the days with their legs crossed beneath them, and this muscle is actually responsible for moving the leg in kind of a this position. When it pulls, it kind of flexes a little bit and rotates the leg outward, and it's doing this kind of things. So this is the quadriceps, and we will talk about it, of course. This is the knee area, which is consistent of a lot of things, and we have to talk about it also. We have ass in the back. We will talk about the ass also. There are a lot of things in the leg, actually. So legs are pretty complex, and that's why many people cannot actually draw or sculpt them properly. And that's what we need to achieve. This is one of the muscles here in the lower leg, which are unnamed because they are very complex. We don't want to know their names at all, because we don't want to fill our heads with things that we don't actually care about that much. So let's go for the ass. How to make the ass. So first we will make a bump here, which will be the end of the femur, the end of this bone, the big bone, femur. And we will attach this muscle to it. This muscle is called gluteus medius. So it's the middle muscle of the ass. Gluteus maximus is this one that I'm doing right now. It's the big muscle of the ass. So gluteus medius and gluteus maximus. There is a muscle in here, as you can see it. This muscle is important for the shape, from the front especially. It's kind of visible. And this muscle is called we don't care about how it's called. It's a tensor fascial latio or something like this. So it's not a muscle that we want to know. We want to know this muscle here, sartorius, which is coming from the beginning of the leg in here, going down and wrapping around the sides and ending around this area here. And the ending is not completely visible. You cannot see how it ends because it's covered with skin and maybe a little bit of fat, but a little bit, because the fat in the legs is mostly stored in the ass area. And it's logical, because the legs, what do we use them for? We use them for running, walking. If there is heavy things on the bottom or even in the middle, you will be having a lot of difficulties. You will get tired very quickly. So the big heavy things are on the top of the legs, and the legs on the bottom are much thinner and narrower, not with so many fat pads and stuff. Here we will have a first glance of our the hamstring muscles. The hamstring muscles are this thing here, and we will have to do the muscle part of our journey to get there. But now we are doing just shapes. So this is the hamstrings in the back. From the hamstrings, since they're separate and they're attached to the lower leg, and since they separate, one is going forward here to make this bump a little bit bigger. This bump in here, okay. This bump on the side of the knee, on the inside of the knee. Then we'll have to cut in this area, because this is our calf muscle, very much peeking in a lot in the middle. And on the side, it's not that visible. It's visible, but not that hugely visible. As you can see, the calves, let me show you. Calves are starting from the top, and they're going down, and this is side view. And they are visible, just this is visible from the calves. From the inside though, ooh, a lot of the leg is the calves. You can see the lower leg, just this portion here is not the calves from the inner view. So the calves are more inside the leg than outside. And of course from the back, they're completely visible, and mostly they are visible from the back when you look at the leg. Here we'll have a little fat pad on the back of the knee. In most anatomy books, it will not be a fat pad. It will be an empty kind of a hole between the muscles, because those hamstrings, they're coming from the top, they're wrapping around the side. This is attaching to the fibula, to the top of the fibula here. This one is wrapping and attaching to the tibia in the front. So it's going here, it's attaching to the front, this one in the inside. And on the outside, no, on the inside, yes, it's attaching here. On the outside is attaching to here. As you can see, this is the hamstring, and it's attached to this little bone, which is the fibula, to the top of it. And the top of the fibula, you can touch it under your knee on the side, a little bit on the back side of the side of your leg. It's around this area, and it's a very good point of interest because there are some muscles like the hamstrings that is attaching there. So the hamstrings are coming roughly like this, and the calves, they're coming from inside, and the calves actually are attached to the femur on the sides of the femur, so on the top bone, and they're coming down, and there are muscles up to around this point, and then there is a big tendon going on, and there are muscles on the side, because the calves, it's not one muscle here, this one, there are like couple more muscles, and we will talk about it. We can see the peak of one of the calf muscles here, and the other one should peak around this area on the side, but it doesn't matter right now. We will see it on the anatomical drawings. So here usually we have a hole in the anatomy because there's no muscle in this hole. The muscles are going this way, and this way, and this way. And here a hole. But this hole is full with nerves, veins, and above them, to protect them, is a fat pad like this. So there's a fat pad in here, which is visible from the side. As we can see here, this is our fat pad. This is our fat pad. Here it's not that visible, but it's here. So we have fat. It's very important to know. If we don't do it, we will be doomed to fail forever, as we know. But you know that, so we will continue. So this is the ass. The ass in the anatomy, in the normal anatomy with muscles, is looking pretty bad because it's only muscle. And the ass in reality is not only muscle at all. It's muscle and fat, because we need to sit on our asses. And since we need to sit on our asses, the asses has to be soft. In order to be soft, fat is helping for the softness. By the way, even in even in very muscular people, don't do this thing. Like too much hanging out, you know, too much going away from the thing. It's not like that. It's, yes, in muscular people it's more visible and everything, but be careful just to be more beautiful, to be nicer to look at. If it's hanging out, it's not gonna be nice to look at. And I didn't tell you something because I didn't want you to become better artist than me, but now I will tell you because I feel sorry, and I will tell you from the side view how we draw and how we perceive the knee area from the side view. It's very interesting because you know, this is our quadriceps muscle ending, as we see it here. It's ending like a house with the roof a little bit on the one side, so sharp on this side, and from the side view the tendon is going down, and we are having a muscle coming from the bottom here, and overall what we see from the side view is this straight line down, the tendon, and then this muscle is making this. And now, as you can see, our knee is surrounded from this point from just like lines, you know. And let's see if we can notice that in some real people. Here are those lines in this guy. We can see it. So quadriceps is ending here. It's actually kind of like this. This is all the side of the quadriceps here. Then we have a line down, which is a tendon going down, attaching around this area. Then we have the knee. It's pretty long in this guy. This is the patella around here, the kneecap. And there are tendons going down to the kneecap, then from that attaching tendons to the tibia, which is the big bone of the lower leg. And then we have this peculiar muscle going in the front, and we have overall this kind of thing going on. This, what is this? This is the tendon of our of the hamstring muscles, the side of the hamstring. So it's coming from the top, it's going here and having a tendon, which is coming to around this area, where is the beginning, or yeah, the beginning of the fibula, which is the other leg bone. This is our fat pad here in the back, and then we have our calves coming from below it. And as you can see, when we are doing anatomy study, we are making everything much more pronounced than it actually is in real life. And it's very useful to draw over real life photos. For example, let's draw over this one. It's very cool. Okay, now we have this inner thigh muscles, and they are up to this point. These are the inner thigh muscles. We will not too much take care of them, because they are mostly under fat and they are almost never visible, so we cannot care about them too much. But maybe in the most muscular leg that we will do, we will kind of get them a little bit well. So this is the water drop shape of one of the quadriceps muscles, and it's going, as you can see, very low. This is the kneecap here, and it's going almost to the kneecap, so it's pretty low. This leg, by the way, is tense right now. He has, like, I'm strong, and he tensed the leg. This is the other part of the quadriceps, the outer portion of the quadriceps, and it's pretty visible. This is the tendon of it going down and connecting to the tibia in the bottom. In the back, we can see the tendon, which is connecting around here, of the hamstrings. And then we will have a little bit of the calves peeking from the sides. Especially this inner side is definitely calves. These are the calves here. This here is mostly this muscle that I'm talking about in the front, and some other muscles on the side. And the calves maybe are not even visible from the front, but it doesn't matter that much. So the quadriceps is what I wanted to show. So the quadriceps, this is not the quadriceps here. This is the tensor fascia latae, or whatever muscle this is. This small muscle on the side here, it's this one. And this here in the middle should be the third muscle of the quadriceps. Very well. So this. But where is the fourth muscle? It's quadriceps. Quad. 4 muscles. Where's the fourth muscle of the quadriceps? It is below the others and it's not visible. Sorry about that. So the kneecap, it's also interesting. We will get to it, but it's kneecap, then it has tendon, and tendons going into the kneecap from the quadriceps, and from it tendons going down, and around it there are some fat pads which are cushioning it, and that's why we have this kind of bumps. These are mostly fat pads going below the, but we will see that in some of the anatomy drawings. Let's continue with our leg here, because we are nowhere and the time is running. So we have the ass, we have the gluteus medius on the side, and we have, let's go to this drawing, and we at some point we have to make this drawing completely. Maybe this will be this drawing. We will have to go and make it completely as it is. So I will push this outward, inward I mean. The ass is fine. We always want the shape of the ass not to be completely circular, but a little bit flat on the top, and then goes like curvature. then curvature here, going in, the tendon, fat pad, and calves. These are the calves. Then the side muscles here, there's a couple of muscles in this area, and this front muscle, which is going to the other side of the knee. It's not exactly to the other side, but and this is the knee, and this the quadriceps and the tendon of it. So this is the tendon of, and a lot of tendons going on in this area here, like the tendon of the one side of the hamstrings, and the tendon of the quadriceps also is going here. But the tendon of the hamstrings is coming up to the top of the fibula, this thin little bone, and the tendon of the hamstrings, it's not exactly the tendon of the hamstrings, I'm lying to you. This is a tendon which is going on the side of the hamstrings, and it's tibial band or whatever it's called. It's kind of a big flat sheet of tendon, which is which this muscle is attached to it. It's kind of attached to this flat sheet, and yeah, it's going on the side of the body. And sometimes we can see a shape there, like here, for example, when it squeezes the quadriceps. But it depends. We will see when we see it. We will talk about it. So yeah, this is not the tendon of the quadriceps. All the tendons of the quadriceps usually in most people are coming into the patella, the kneecap, and from that going down to the front of the tibia, the bigger bone, the big bone here in the bottom. Okay, hopefully there's not too much information, but we will continue in the next video with the feet a little bit. Maybe a little bit we'll talk about the bottom of the foot, of the leg, and then about the feet, because we don't have feet right now. These legs are looking fine, but without feet, I'm afraid it's not possible. So we will continue the next lesson with feet. And now it's time to do some feet. So what do we know about the feet and the ankle area? So let me draw a little bit. So when we have this, which is the form of the leg from the side view, then we always will go into our ankle. And from the bottom also, this is the calves, and we always will go into our ankle. And the ankle, the bones here on the ankle, the outside is the bottom of the fibula, and the bottom of the tibia is on the inner side. They are not on the same level. So the bottom one is a little bit higher than the top one. And you will get that with like this. So the leg is going like this, and it's kind of like a wrench, but going in and wrapping around the foot. But the wrench is kind of on an angle. So it is wrapping from an angle. So the bottom one is lower, the bottom one is lower, and the top one is higher. You have to remember that. No, the outer side is lower and the inner side is higher, which usually is not like this. In most of the leg things, you see this is going like from high to low on the inside. This is higher, this is lower, but on the bottom of the foot is the other way around. It's not like this. In most of the leg is like this, but here on the bottom is the other way around. It doesn't matter. Then we will have our feet. Usually when they are forward pointing, they will go to the side. This is a pinky, and this will be our thumb, and this will be the other thumbs, the other fingers, toes. Thumbs, fingers, toes, whatever. Okay, now we have our feet, and the ankle is pretty important to be not symmetrical again. So to be the inner portion upward and the lower portion a little bit more down. As we can see, this one is a little bit more up, this one is a little bit more down. It's pointing outward. The feet itself are pointing outward. It's kind of triangular shape from the front. From the side view, is a different matter. But let's try to make them. In the beginning, especially when we are sculpting feet, they will look preposterous and tremendously bad when we are sculpting them. But if we know what we're doing, and we know, at the end, they will look nice. So, heel, then we'll have the forward portion. I always, when I sculpt especially, when I draw, not so much, but when I sculpt, when I go from the bottom, I try to do something like a step in the sand. So, step in the sand means that the heel is a little bit narrower, or a lot narrower, than the front portion. And that's how you do it. This area will be a little bit more high, the outer area will be a little bit more low, and we will need a bit more geometry to continue. This bottom portion of the leg usually is narrow because there is only bone, a little bit of muscle, but mostly bone and tendons here, as in the knee. So those areas are mostly bone and tendons, so we have to acknowledge that. If we don't, we're doomed. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to achieve a nice horizontal plane for the bottom of the feet. This will be our front lower leg muscle here. And we can see his name, the name of this muscle. It's not a problem to see it, but we will not probably remember it. Let's see it, whatever. So this is the muscle 23, and it is, drumroll, tibialis anterior. So it's not that difficult of a name, tibialis anterior, but we will see this and we will work on this in some of the later lessons, and we will talk about all the muscles and everything. Now we are just working on the shapes, and you can easily draw from this as a reference or sculpt from it, because it's very useful for the overall leg shapes. Explanation of the muscles will follow in some of the later videos. There will be a lot of leg making in this course. Muscular leg, female leg, normal leg, leg from muscles, anatomy leg from Bames anatomy, leg from another anatomy, and of course female leg, I told you, a lot of legs. So yeah, let's continue with the feet. So the feet are very complex by themselves, whatever you think, but they are very complex shapes, for me at least. Maybe you are very good at feet, I'm not as good, and for me they are interesting shape, although I can always look at my own feet and see what's happening there, but it's not that easy. I mean, feet are very peculiar. So what you have to know about the feet is that they are kind of this shape. So on the side of the big toe, it's longer, and this is where the feet is kind of transitioned into the leg. On the side of the pinky, it's getting kind of steep, low and thinner, and yeah, that's mostly what it is. We will have to look at the feet in more in some of the other lessons, because the feet itself is, as you can see, a pretty complex shape consistent of bones, fat, a lot of fat pads around especially the bottom, and these toes, they are kind of contributing to the interesting shapes, and there are tendons and even some slight muscles here and there, like this bump, for example, here in the outside of the foot, just below and in front of the ankle, is a muscle, actually. Those in the bottom here are fat pads, and all of those things, if we know, we will be golden. If we don't know them, we can be golden if you just know how to make the shape of the feet. The shape of the feet is hardcore. Now, what I see in these legs is they're pretty thick in this area, pretty thick in this area. I will narrow them down. And here we can make another bump. Why? Because this bone, let me show you. Disable the mirror so we can see the inside of the leg. So this is the inside of the leg. Let's go to find our leg here, the inside of the leg. So what's happening here is the following. This is your calf muscle and it's pretty big on the inside of the leg, but it kind of ends around this area, and from that a tendon is continuing down. The Achilles tendon, pretty famous tendon actually. So this is the Achilles tendon. This is sometimes like this if we kind of fold it. If we go on our toes, for example, it's much more visible, the calves. But here in the side, the other calf muscle is peeking out. That's why in many people you will see a bump, another bump in here, from the front especially. So we see a bump for this, and then another bump for this muscle, and then another bump for the ankle. So 3 bumps in this side, which I was thinking that I have some problems when I saw the 3 bumps in my lower leg, but it turns out I just have normal legs. And I'm happy right now, because I know that there are muscles there which are making this kind of bumps. This is the muscle that it's picking. Let's see if we have a bump in this. Yeah, we have not exactly a bump, but in some people, me included, we have this bump. Then we have another bump. It's not that big. I mean, the next bump is just simply a bump, which is this muscle a little bit more protruding than in this illustration. And there is the bump of the ankle, and this group of muscles here, the tibius anterior or whatever it was called, this front one. We don't care, and we continue to work on our legs and especially the foot, because we need to make it right. So the main portion of the foot, in my opinion, is, I mean, the big and bulky part is this portion here, which consists of the big toe. So the big toe is with all these bones in here is making the peak of the leg, and then all this area is going down, not gradually exactly, but it's kind of flattening on the pinky side. And we have long toes going on also, and they're sometimes going on the side. The pinky is always bumped into the other toes, and it's just a huge mess. By the way, usually when you're sculpting a character for video games, I have sculpted characters for video games for over 10 years, and I was over 15 years into game industry. So I have never had to make a perfect foot, because most of the characters that I've did wear shoes. So the basic shape of the foot is very important, because you have to do it in order to make a nice boot over it. But a perfect foot is usually not needed in the game industry. If you know how to do it, fine, you're good, but you don't actually have to know that. So we will learn a little bit, but not too much. Here in the back, let's see how the back works, because we haven't talked about the back of the leg that much. So what happened is that the calves, they're going down from the middle of the leg outward, they're getting big, and then they stop, and this is the tendon, the Achilles tendon that attaches to the heel. And this tendon, by the way, if we draw it or sculpt it from the back, a little curve inward at the end of the tendon will be appropriate. So if you do it, it will be looking nice. A little curve like this. And then we have that heel, and the heel is not a bone at all. There is bone, but mostly it's fat. Mostly it's fat around this area. Here we have a little bit of a muscle that's moving some of the digits of the toe, some of the toes. This muscle is helping to move some of the toes. And we have the muscle that's actually moving the toes up is here in between this big muscle in the front, and we will talk about it when we do the full anatomy sculpt. For now, I'm just mentioning those things so you have them in mind. You don't have to remember anything or whatever. Just let it pass. We will get to that and we will see in much more detail when we get there. For now, we are just making something that resembles a leg, you know. Not perfect in any case, but most of the muscles group in this drawing, which is again from Anatomy for Sculptors book, they are completely right. And if we draw or sculpt them as they are in this thing, in this shapes, we will be golden. It will look amazing. That's what we are aiming for. That's what I'm aiming for. If you are aiming for something else, that's completely fine. But I am aiming for this. I need to go with a bigger brush and just move the knee a little bit backwards so we will have more dynamic leg. Most of people, as I said, they're making the mistake to make the leg like this. So it's not exactly bad, but it doesn't make for a very dynamic pose. It's not dynamic. So dynamic will be if the legs are even more, the knees are even more backwards like this. It seems like the guy is standing very tall, you know, the tallest he can be, even bending the knees a little bit backwards. Some people can bend the knees a bit more backwards than the other people. And it looks more straight and dynamic than it was looking before. Actually. So I don't agree with some of the shapes, especially from the back here, but I don't have to agree since who am I? I'm just a normal guy who have researched numerous hours leg anatomy, and those are the guys from Anatomy for Sculptors. They are better than me, definitely. So we will just do whatever they show, and we will not complain. And then someday we will do something by ourselves. So okay, this muscle here, the tensor fascia latae, or whatever it's called. By the way, let's see if this muscle, this little muscle here, that's very important for the shape of the leg from the front. It's not very important, but it's kind of there. We can see also a little bit of the, in this drawing, we can see a little bit of the gluteus medius. So the middle ass muscle, I call it. And this muscle, which is number 3, is called tensor fascia latae. Exactly, tensor fascia latae. And how is this called here? This 5. This is the something tibia band, and its tendon is going in here, just under the knee on the side. This tendon is for the hamstring, one of the hamstring muscles, which is 13. Biceps femoris, it's called biceps femoris, and 5 is iliotibial band. So this is iliotibial band, and this iliotibial band is partially connected to the ass, to the gluteus maximus. It's very connected to this tensor fascia latae, and there is even a little bit of a something that goes in front here, this band, this thin band that is wrapping around, and it's cutting this water drop shape part of the quadriceps. It's cutting it in half when and only when this muscle is not contracted. When it's contracted, this is completely disappeared. But if it's in a relaxed position, it's cutting here, this band. But these are, again, a lot of details which we don't really completely need. As you can see, the fat here in the back of the feet, because this lesson is mostly for the feet. So we have the heel area where we have fat all around, but it's not completely flat in here. I mean, it's there are some shapes going on there. As you can see, the heel, and then here we have another shape because of this bone where it ends. But yeah, this, and here you can see it more clearly. If you make it completely flat here, line, it will look boring a little bit. So ours is kind of boring, so we need to kind of increase this portion and push this backwards. In order to make nice feet, we need more resolution, because now our toes are looking like crab, and they should look more like toes. If you want your toes to look like crab, it's fine, but we want them to look like toes, so we'll have to continue working on that for a little bit more, which means more resolution. I think this resolution should work, and it's starting to lag, so I will disable the mirror. In Blender, when you disable your modifiers, immediately you will start to feel that the lag is no longer there that much, at least not that much. And our leg is looking relatively fine. It's not looking bad. It's looking anatomical, it's looking good, but here it's horrifying. It doesn't look good at all in the front. So let's try to do it by the book. A little bit like this. This is the big toe. We'll make a flat portion on the top of it. We will have where the big toe originates is kind of a big deal, a big plane. Here in the bottom we will have a little bit of fat because we step on the ground. And when we step on the ground, this fat will crush itself and it will be visible. This is the same of those cushions on the toes themselves. They are also kind of flattened by the ground, so we have to bear that in mind. And from the bottom, if we draw them or sculpt them, we have to sculpt them. Usually we will not draw them from the bottom, that's obvious. We have to make sure we have one middle toe, another toe in here, and another one, and the pinky on the back. And all of these toes, they have length. They have pretty big length. They are not super short, except for the pinky, which is kind of pushing into the other fingers or toes relatively like bad. And from the bottom it looks just like a ball. And here the foot begins, the toes end, and the pinky toe from the bottom ends pretty close to the end of to the beginning of the fat part of the feet. The other fingers, the other toes, are not exactly like this. Some of them are a little bit like this one, for example, has a lot of distance between its fat part and the beginning of the toe. This one has a little bit less distance, this one has almost no distance, and the pinky is pretty close. The big toe is actually not round, but the inner portion is kind of smaller and the outer portion is a little bit bigger, and those things are not as important, but if we make them, we'll get a little bit closer to nicer and more realistic feet, I guess. But I'm not sure, because we don't know. Now, if we make the steps like this, so steps of the toes, we should be able to make them look a little bit nicer if we make those steps. Make sure the toes are not that different from each other as the width. And their nails are pointing forward and up. So they're not pointing upwards, they're pointing forward and up, as we see in here, forward and up. The big toe is pointing more upwards. And that's why they are different. If we make them completely the same, it will be a big, huge and bad mistake. But we will not do that mistake because we are smarter than that. And the big toe, even we can draw it like something like this. You know, going a little bit like upwards like this. And the other toes, they're going more like downwards. Pointing. And the big toe is going upwards. If we do that, we'll immediately have something interesting in our hands. Something that looks more like a foot. I will go from the side view and I will try to flatten it with the tools of Blender, which is this flatten things. And I managed to do it. I flattened it. And we now have a pretty decent foot in our model, which is great, but we will have to unfortunately do a lot more feet. The feet are not my favorite thing to do when we are talking about the legs, but overall when I was younger, the legs even were not my favorite thing to do, so I didn't do them. And when I became you know, big, when I grew up, I was having difficulties drawing or sculpting legs because of no practice. And when you don't have practice with anything, you will probably not be good at it. And that's a fact. I've been there, I know that. So in order to get good in whatever, practice it. So leg, anatomy, get good at it, practice it first. By the way, there is an interesting thing. So one of the tendons that's going into the foot is this tendon here. This is the tendon of our tibius anterior muscle or whatever it's called. This guy here, it's kind of a big, it's kind of in the front and it's in our face. It's next to the bone. So yeah, this is kind of the bone in here. And this is, its tendon is going outward and it's going kind of below and we don't care about it. But in between there is another muscle which tendon is going into the big toe only. There is a muscle only for the big toe. And there is another muscle that's going also from here, which tendon is going and separating to the other toes. And that's why we have a lot of things going on here and we don't know what's happening and we are very sad and we cry, but nothing happens, so we stop crying, we start working and some things will happen, then we are happy. And with, you see how with sadness, there goes happiness. We will do the big toe nail. And the other nails, we can kind of try to push them there and to see what will happen. But overall, this doesn't look super bad. We might want to add a little bit more fat in this area and smooth it out, because this is a cushion of all your steps, so there will be fat in there and the fat will be kind of crushed a little bit from the weight of your body, so bear that in mind. This will be our calves and the other muscle here connecting again to the calves in the back. And the calves from the side, they are all behind the ankle, but there is sometimes one of the other calf muscle is peeking below the main calf muscle. And maybe you want to know, what is the main calf muscle called? I don't know. What is this muscle that is peeking called? I don't know, but we can check it out. Let's check it out and finish this video, and then we'll make something else in the next video. So this muscle, which is peeking from the inside, is called 22, which means soleus. Soleus is the muscle from the inside. The 20 muscle is gastrocnemius. So gastrocnemius is the main calf muscle, right? Gastrocnemius, the main calf muscle. And this 22 is peeking out and it's soleus. Soleus. So the soleus is below the gastrocnemius. if we have to talk with names, and we don't have to, but still. So the soleus is peaking below the gastrocnemius muscle, which is this big guy here is the gastrocnemius, and it ends here, and there the Helios tendon, and the soleus is peaking from this side and also from this side, because it's below it and it's kind of crushed and it's peaking from both sides. It's like from both sides it's like peaking. So cool. That's relatively cool. We have most of the things we need here. Legs are not very simple thing to do. Hopefully, with a lot of exercises that we have in this course, we'll be able to kind of get the idea of the legs. Don't worry if now everything is too much of you know, mix in your head and you cannot quite understand what is happening and what is what. It's normal in the beginning. It's always like this when you're learning new things, even when you're remembering old things, because the legs, usually most of you know a couple of things about the legs. You're not that complete unknown. But even if you are completely unprepared, you will get it at some point. But practice with me. So with every video I do, try to practice what I do, try to do similar exercise with me, and we will get there. So these are the basic shape of the legs, and in the next video we probably should try to do exactly this image, because this is very, very important. Or no, we will do this. We'll do the muscles. We will do a leg with all the muscles pretty much and the tendons visible, which is kind of this leg, but here in the front we don't see exactly what's happening with the quadriceps. So we will do that, and we will do it on the bones for the next lesson. Bye for now. So guys, let's talk about the muscles. Let me draw a little bit on the skeleton here, and then we will sculpt them. So by repetition, we will start to learn the shapes and the muscles themselves. So first, let's go with this portion, so the front view. Here first, we will have a little bit of the gluteus medius picking out. This will be the ass muscle or the butt muscle. From the front, from this little point in the front here of the pelvis, we will see the tensor fasciae latae muscle, which is making kind of a point in here. Then from this point on, we will go down until around this area, and then we will go flat down to the upper point of the fibula, which is this bone, fibula. So like this, and this will be our quad muscles. Then this will be the tendon, but not of the quad muscles. This will be the tendon for the back muscles, which are the hamstrings. So the hamstrings will be a little visible here. The tendon for the quad muscles, which is not exactly for the quad muscles. This tendon is this tendinous sheet in here, which is called iliac iliotibial. So it's coming from the iliac crest, which is here. It's going to the tibia. So iliotibial band. Okay. Sometimes when you know the names of certain things, you can kind of get the names of other things which are connected to those. So it's called iliotibial band because it's coming from the iliac crest, which is this portion of the pelvis, and it's going down around the leg and it's connecting to the tibia in here. So iliotibial band, and it's this white thing in here that's coming. Here it's cut, so we can see the muscles below, but it's over them. It's over the muscles. Some of the muscles are connected to this iliotibial band. It's a little bit awkward there, but overall the shapes are not that problematic. So from here it will start going outward. So we will see a little bit of the calves here and a lot of the calves in this area here, but they will start a little bit lower. Let's continue with those inner thigh muscles that we don't care about too much, but we'll go almost straight down, but a little bit inward. Then we will mark our what was the name of this? Sartorius, yes. So we will mark our sartorius. It will come straight down, and then it will go out and wrap around here until it reaches its point of origin. When you do this, when you mark the sartorius, now you will have the overall shapes of the legs, because the sartorius is kind of marking a change of a plane. Here it's like this, and then here it comes a little bit more inward, this plane. Usually it's not super visible, but when we clench our muscles, it's kind of started to be visible. Let's go and make a little bit of a thinking here. This is our, of course, the quadriceps muscle. All this thing is the quadriceps. We will go into more detail. We'll go down a little bit here, because this is also a shape. This bone part here is visible on the surface usually, as you can see here. And then we will come from a little bit below and go down and away and then in for the ankle. And this is again our calf muscles. They are peeking out. One of them is also peeking out below the other one. And then we will have our feet with the fingers and the toes, I mean, and everything. We will have this muscle here, which is in front, which is called tibialis anterior, I think. But you know, this muscle is pretty important. It's pretty visible. This front muscle here, it's this one in here, if you see it in the images. It's pretty important, but we don't need to know the name, you know. It's this muscle. It's making forms, especially from the side view. We will see how it makes form, and I already showed you. So let's see the side view actually. It's interesting. Before we start sculpting, we will see what we can do on the side view. So first we are watching this, which is the muscles from the side view, and we are getting, okay, we have the ass, very important shape here, ass, good. We have a little bit peeking out even sartorius. This longer muscle here, it's a little bit visible in this image. It's this portion here, is the sartorius. So it's nice going down. This, the tibialis, no, this is the tensor fascia latae. It's a little bit visible here. It's a lot visible from the side actually, but it's kind of going down and a little bit backwards. And then we have our gluteus medius, which is this one, then gluteus maximus, which is this one, and they start from the pelvis, from the top of the pelvis, and they are moving the leg in certain directions usually, the upper leg. So the gluteus medius is connected to this portion of the femur, so the big bone here of the upper leg. It's connected to the top of it, so it can move it like sideways, for example. And this portion here is connected partially to the bone and partially to the iliotibial band, which is a little bit, you know, problematic for us, but it's not a huge issue. So now we will start. Now, notice that, very important. We have to start from the pelvis down a little bit, and then we will go forward for our quads. So the quadriceps muscle is the biggest muscle in, not in the body probably, but it's one of the biggest in the body definitely, but it's the biggest in the leg, because this muscle allows us to stand up, to lift ourselves from the ground, to counterweight the gravity. So this is the muscle which is straightening the leg. That's why it's kind of huge. It's coming from here. This is the side view of it, as you can see, and basically we can see a little bit of the inner portion of the quadriceps here, but overall this is it. Now here the hamstrings, they're going basically straight down, but they are not exactly straight down ever, so they will go a little bit inward, and then we'll have their tendon going here, the tendon of one of the hamstring muscles. The other hamstring muscle is peeking below, And I'm telling all of those muscles in the back of the leg as hamstring muscles, but one is called biceps femoris because it's the biceps of the femur. The other one is called other name. We don't actually care about those names that much. We care about that they are a group of muscles that are doing the same function, and they have one distinctive shape, and that's it. Now here we will go with our iliotibial band, which will connect around this area here of the tibia, and it will make this kind of a cut like I told you before. This is the front muscle that we are talking about that's making a little bit of a front plane. It's visible in here, this muscle. It's coming from exactly where the iliotibial band connects. So this muscle is coming from there and going around the leg, and it's kind of going in the other side. It's tendon, because the muscle is up to a little bit like the middle, and then it started to get tendon. So most of the volume of the muscles, usually, especially in the lower leg, are in the upper side of the lower leg. That's why the lower leg is looking kind of like this, like it looks like, with a thicker upper portion and not so thick lower portion. Here we will have fat pads, the toes, the big toe, and this should be it. Of course, this here is the top of the fibula, which is kind of hosting some other muscles that are going down here. But most of the muscles that are behind the leg on the back are the calves. There are 2 or 3 muscles of the calves, and here we will usually have a little bit of a bump behind, which is fat. So this is from the side view. It looks a little bit messy, but because I was trying to put all the muscles there, the back view can be a little bit tricky, but we can handle it. And especially if we watch our reference, I cannot emphasize more that watching references is very important. You have to watch references, otherwise you are doomed. Especially, you know, the people who are watching the most references are contra-intuitive, the people who have the most experience. The people who are watching less references and try to work from imagination are usually the people who don't have experience, who are young, and that's very counterintuitive, because usually when you don't have experience, you have to work more from references. So you will gather experience, gather a visual library, but this doesn't happen usually. So, doesn't matter. If you're smart, you will watch a lot of references while you work, because this is not cheating, this is just learning, and not only learning, but you will be the best version of yourself as an artist if you work with references. Okay? So, this should be the gluteus medius here. We will not be able from the back to see the tensor fascia latae, so this kind of interesting small muscle here. We will not be able to see it from the back. And this is the muscle of the ass. But the ass is not only the muscle, it's always fat in here, except in very muscular men. Let me show you what I mean. In very, very huge muscled humans like this, which is super rare, the ass will look something like this, like an alien. We don't want to do exactly that. We want a normal looking human ass usually when we work. So that's what we're trying to do. What you gonna do? Or what you gonna do when they come for you? Now, yeah, you will say, but why are you singing while you're doing courses? Because they are my courses. I can do whatever I want. Not exactly. Probably I will not burp during the courses, but whatever. Okay, let's go with something else. So, we continued with the ass. We have made the fat here, and now we have to go with our hamstrings. So the hamstrings usually start from kind of the inner portion of the pelvis, and they're going down, and the outer hamstrings, which is the biceps femoris and the other one, are connected to the fibula here. So they're making something like this, and the inner portion of the hamstrings are connected to the tibia a little bit more in the front, so they are making this bump here also with the sartorius muscle. They are connecting in kind of the same place. As you can see here in this image, the sartorius is coming down and connecting to the tibia in here. This is one of our hamstrings, and it's connected a little bit below, as you can see, but it's in the same ballpoint. So the hamstrings, something like this, like double muscle. Of course, they are a little bit more complicated than that, but we don't need to know, since the hamstrings usually are not visible. They are visible only in very certain occasions. When the leg is folded, when the leg is bent on the knee, 90 degrees for example, those hamstrings are bigger, bulkier, and shorter. And they are a little bit visible, but not each one individually. When they are straight like this, they're almost not visible. This is just a one kind of a bump in here. And they are only visible when we bend down a lot and everything is stretched in this area, and they are visible in this way. And that's why, let me show you, that's why this guy is making this movement in order to show his hamstrings mostly. So only in this pose, the hamstrings are very visible. In other poses, they are not so visible, except in certain people who have almost no body fat. And then you will see what happens here. It's just a complete mess. So, you know, usually as artists, in order to understand the muscles better, in order to learn how to draw them, we have to simplify them. We cannot draw this kind of a huge mess that is going on. So we will simplify them by watching our anatomy stuff, you know. Now here we will see the quadriceps muscle. From the back, it's also visible. So here we have this kind of line. Then we have the quadriceps in the front, and it's visible from here. So it's nice. This tendon, though, is the tendon of the biceps femoris, which is this part, the outer part of the hamstrings in the back. Okay. Now, what else? Oh, of course, we have our calves coming from the femur. They are connected to the bottom of the femur here, and they're coming down, two of them, and they're getting wider, and they're connected to the tendon. Achilles tendon, the most famous tendon in the universe, is the Achilles tendon. And this tendon is kind of this white area that we see here is this tendon. It's pretty strong, and it's connecting to the heel, and it's making a pretty good form in there. Here we will have fat pad usually. In this case, with this muscular leg sculpture that we will do, we will not have too much of a fat pad. But we will see how we will do the sculpture. So the back of the leg is something like this. Here in this case, we have our skeleton probably a little bit too pronounced, this fibula. That's why we're having some issues. So the fibula and the calves are not exactly covering it, but it's not it's never a perfect thing. I mean, this skeleton is fine, it's looking good, it's kind of symmetrical and everything, but it's not perfect. Nothing is perfect. If even if it's real, even if this skeleton was scanned, it could be a little bit different than other skeletons, because people, they are not completely the same. Nobody is completely the same with other people. So what else I wanted to tell you, and I didn't tell you last time. So usually the legs, you can measure where the knee will be by making this. Let me show you. Now, this is your ground plane, and let's say up to this point, and the middle of this distance should be around the knee area. Let's see. The middle of this distance is around here. So it's exactly in the middle of the patella, which is sometimes exactly where the femur ends. So this length of the femur is the length of the tibia plus this length of the foot. So the tibia is shorter than the femur, That's why the femur is equal to the tibia plus the length of the foot. And that's how we can measure our legs and where to put the knee when we don't have a skeleton below, which is nice. I mean, when we don't have a nice skeleton below. And by nice skeleton or bones, I mean bones which are right, which are correct. So now let's put a sphere, which will be our first muscles, the ass muscles. The amazing butt muscle. So you will say, but Nico, and I will say, yes, exactly. This is our butt. And the butt, we will have to sculpt it. And I will not make it exactly as it is in our drawing that we are making, although we are making exactly that drawing. But I always think that the butt should have a little bit more fat. Because, come on, we are sitting on it. It has to be soft. It cannot be that hardcore stuff. Although, it's a lot of muscle there. So it could be soft only with the muscle too, but not as soft as it needs to be. So we will cut it, make sure it's... By the way, I can include the tensor fascia latae muscle in here. Let's go with a little bit more geometry, so we are better. Everything is connected to the iliac crest, which is this, the spine of the pelvis here, we can call it also, or iliac crest, if you want. Almost to the end, almost until this point here is coming the gluteus medius muscle, which is this side muscle. It's pretty much visible from the front view, kind of in many people. It's kind of protruding and it's visible. Then we will have the tensor fascia latae muscle. And I told you I will not give you too much names, but come on, tensor fascia latae is a badass name. We have to, you know, remember it. Tensor fascia latae. We don't care about it that much, but it's interesting muscle. Many people are forgetting about it. And also when you bend the leg forward, you have to know that bending the leg, usually what people are making a mistake, and listen to me right now, it's very important. People are making this mistake. So they know that our the pelvis is here. And it's visible. This is a bony landmark here on the surface. Usually it's visible. Then we will have our external oblique muscles here on the top. We'll have our belly coming down. And if we have to bend the leg, they're bending the leg from here. They're starting from here, which is absolutely not good. You shouldn't do it, because this is complete false. So the leg bends because of certain reasons. For example, one of the reasons that the leg bends from lower is because the femur, this bone here, it's not coming up to this point. It's coming up to around here, and that's why the leg bends from here. So the bone is going like this, and the muscle is coming from a little bit lower here. So the quadriceps muscle, which is mostly what we see on the leg above, is coming from here. So we have kind of a three fingers gap in here from the end of the pelvis, from this corner of the pelvis down to where the leg starts to bend. And this way, it will be much, much more appropriate to do it. As will stretch a little bit when we are bending the leg. And here we will have our... we will see it when we make a bent leg. But when you know all the anatomy, it's not going to be super difficult to make a bent leg. Whatever. Let's continue. I just like to do some stuff. Okay, now we will have to go until we reach our... What is this? Tibial tuberosity or whatever it's called. Femoral tuberosity. I'm not sure. This is the end of the femur, and it's called G. Let's see, what is G? Greater trochanter. Okay, it's not exactly what I thought it is. It's a greater trochanter, is this portion, and it's a good bony landmark to attach our ass muscles on, a little bit like this. And I usually, when I make ass, I make it like a donut, with the end of the donut, not the end, but the whole of the donut is like the greater trochanter, which sometimes works, and all the time it works actually. And here I will push it, And I will push it inward also because it is not that much further apart. So usually when you are drawing or making this muscle, we can make this kind of a butterfly shape. So one shape like this and one shape like this. And here we will have kind of an inside. Of course, the other part of the butterfly will be here. And here will be the head of the butterfly. And like this, and the body, and everything. But it's not about that. It's about the shape of the muscle itself. So the butterfly, leave the butterfly alone. It's not her fault. It's fine. We will have to do our butt alone by ourselves. And we will not be able to do the butt actually until we put all the other muscles, and comparing to them, we will be able to kinda put it in the relative to them position and everything. For now, we just have this bump. From it, I can make another thing, but let's make everything from sphere completely anew. And yeah, in this video we have to end, but let me just make this amazing muscle, which is called sartorius, which is the longest muscle in the human body. So let's just celebrate this by making this muscle and putting it on. So it starts from the iliac crest in here. Is it actually the iliac crest? This is A, is the axis. So axis of the iliac crest stuff. I'm not sure exactly. Axis, what axis means, but axis is a very good bony landmark, because from this axis a lot of things are starting. So the tensor fascia latae, the sartorius is coming from there, and it's a good action landmark, actual landmark or action landmark, who knows. Now this is our sartorius, it's coming like this. We'll be able to do it better when we put our quad muscles in the front. For now, we will just do something like this. It's not exactly round, it's more like a band, like a belt, but we cannot do it like a belt right now, so we will be fine like this. And we will not go that inside, because we will go to the other leg, and we don't want that. So something like that should work for now. Then we will continue in the next video to make the quad muscles, which are making the most of the upper leg are the quads, and one of the biggest muscles in probably the human body, muscle groups, we may say. So let's continue with that in the next video. And we continue with, of course, our quads, the quad muscles. We get them, we put them in here, and they are amazing. Quad muscles are the best. Or not. They are fine. I mean, we should be fine with the quad muscles. Quad muscles are taking most portion of the upper leg, especially from the front view. So we do that. And they're making a lot of the side view also. So we have to do that. But we don't need to do a lot of that. We are fine with what we have. Let's, by the way, this is it. We will define them a little bit later. But for now, that's it. Let's just go ahead and add our inner thigh muscles, which we don't care about that much. And we will not go to so much detail with them, because the inner thigh muscles are not so visible. There's a lot of fat in there. Usually, now in this image you are seeing them, but that doesn't mean we care about them. I'm sorry, yeah. We are rude and we don't care about those muscles that much. We just, you know, we just see them, they are there, we acknowledge them, they are making some forms from the front and from the back a little bit, but they're not as important as other muscles. Like the quadriceps muscle is very important, but those sad little inner thigh muscles, yeah, it's starting to get a little bit sad about them. I start to get a little bit sad about those muscles. They are, I mean, it's not their fault that they're not that important. And what is their purpose is to move the leg inward, which usually is not that important of a move. Okay, we cannot probably live without them that much, or happy, but it's fine. Should be fine. So the quads and the inner thighs are there. Let's go and add our hamstrings muscles, and this will be a little bit tricky because the hamstrings are couple of muscles. It's not only one, but I will add it as one mesh and we will see what will happen. So the hamstrings from the back, if we look at them, they have to be connected kind of on the pelvis, so a little bit more in we will make them here in the upper portion, and on the bottom we have to separate them in at least 2 parts, but 2 I think will be enough. One will be connected, as you know, to the bottom, to the top of the fibula, and the other part will be connected just below our sartorius here, as we already talked about. If you listen, you will know. If you don't, but the idea is that even if you listen, scientists say that when you are watching anatomy course, anatomy tutorial video, there is so much information in most of them that you cannot get all of it. Even if you're listening very carefully, probably at the end of the video, you will be able to remember around 25% at most from the information. So I highly advise you to make yourself comfortable, just watch, listen, have fun, but don't push yourself that hard. You will remember some of it, then you will watch it again at some point, you will remember other half of it or something like this, and you don't have to get everything at once. So here I will cut them in half, and then I will do some little forms in here. The tendon here is kind of a, no, this is the other muscle coming from below, so it's like this, as we can see. So one of the muscles, which is the biceps femoris, I think, so biceps femoris. So biceps femoris is this one, the 13. It's one of the hamstring muscles, and it's short, and it has a huge tendon that is going down. On this tendon is connected the other part of it, this inner portion, and it's connected to the tendon like this, a little bit on the side of it, but it's again connected to the tendon. So this form is kind of complex, pretty complex. So I don't even want you to remember it and to try to replicate it. It's not needed. It's a super complex form. Of course, for an anatomy exercise like this one, we can replicate it by just watching it and trying to do the same, which is fine. We can try to do it, but we have to be careful not to push ourselves too much, not to get too much on our head, because we will blow at some point. It's not necessary to blow. And I'm not saying anything about controls in Blender. I'm not saying anything about how I do those things that I do, because this is not a Blender course. This is course about anatomy, and Blender is a 3D program that I use only to show you in 3D how the muscles, the shapes are going one over the other and that kind of stuff. This is only for that purpose. It's not about the program at all. It's not about Blender. And my anatomy courses, I have other anatomy courses. Some of them are in ZBrush. It's not about ZBrush at all. You can do this course that I'm doing right now. You can do it in Blender. You can do it in ZBrush. You can do it with pen and paper. You can just draw, because as you can see, I was drawing also. So fine. Okay, this leg is starting to take a little bit of a shape. From the side view, what I like to do is I like to have a bigger ass. And then let me just put my screen keys so you can see what I'm pressing if you're interested. And from the ass down, we have the hamstrings, which are going almost straight down to the fibula, the end of the fibula, but they are a little bit kind of bumpy. They have a little bit of a bump, which is great. Or it's not great. It doesn't matter. It's fine. If it's great, if it's not great, it's fine. Let's see how this leg looks from here. Now, we have from the back view, we have the hamstrings tilted a little bit from to the inside of the leg, so a little bit. And we will see then in examples that they're not super tilted. They're a little bit tilted, so make sure you make that. And then maybe the ass should be a little bit bigger. We'll see. Then the inner portion of the leg is those inner thigh muscles, which I told you that we don't quite care about. They are usually not completely visible because there are fat deposits in this area exactly. And even in super muscular people, let's try to see it in ultra muscular people. We can see some separation here actually, but not too much. This is the sartorius going, and it's pretty thick in this guy. And then here, nothing too much. As we can see, sartorius pretty thick in this guy, and here, just you know, just the overall shape, even in ultra muscular guys. So, yeah, it's not as important in my opinion. You can be a great artist making great anatomy sculpts, or just sculpts, we can call them, without knowing too much about this area. But if you want to know, you can always like go here and say, okay, we have this muscle 12, we have this muscle 32, we have this muscle peeking out here 11. If I do them on a Hulk character, it could look nice, but it depends. If you want, you can do it. If you don't want, you probably cannot do it. It's all about if you want or not. So let's do the calves now, because the calves are, now we are kind of finished with the upper leg muscles, and we have to do the calves. Here around the kneecap, we probably will do another shape, which will be consistent of mostly tendon, maybe a little bit of fat, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how this is here. Yeah, it's probably needed some tendon there. We'll see. So the calves, let's go with the calves. They are amazing. The calves are coming from inside and inside the hamstrings. So they're coming in between the hamstrings and going down, connecting to the heel. So we are making this shape. In the inside of the leg, it's a little bit bigger. In the outside of the leg, it's a little bit smaller. That's why I'm cutting it here. And let's make a little bit more resolution so we can cut it here. And make sure we have the two parts, one going on the other side, the other one going on the other side. And that should be it. Let's see how it actually looks like. So those two parts are coming down. They're kind of separated. If we don't have fat or anything, they're kind of separated. And here we have another part of the muscle. So this, let's say a bumping here or whatever, is because there is a little tendon there. So there is no actual muscle in this particular area and this particular area. And that's why we're having this huge bumping here, because those are muscles coming down. We have muscles in here, muscle in here, and here we have kind of a bumps which are not exactly muscles. We can say there are tendon in there. They're not visible in here quite much, but I think there are tendon in there because I'm not relying only on Anatomy for Sculptures for my anatomy knowledge. But Anatomy for Sculptures is basically one of the best possible books for anatomy you can find. This again is from Anatomy for Sculptures book, and as I said, they're not sponsoring this course, but they allow me to do this course or courses like this with their images if I mention them, and which is absolutely fair because they're helping immensely. Their images are helping immensely to make those courses. So, okay, this is our main calf muscle, which is coming from here and here. They're kind of like it's like two-headed muscle, but it is actually another one cutting from below, and it's connecting. This other one is also connecting to the Achilles tendon. So this is this one here in the bottom, and all of them are behind the leg bones of the lower leg. Here in the inner portion, as we can see, we have this big one, and then we have the small one peeking out from this side too. It's the same one. So it's peeking out here, and it's connecting again to the Achilles tendon, but a little bit lower. We will see how this shape will work out. Let's put other muscles here and there, which are those front muscles here. They are the only ones who are left are those front muscles, front side muscles here, especially our tibialis anterior muscle, I think it was called, but as we say, we don't care that much. We care about the tensor fascia latae because it's like interesting. You see this muscle, how it's kind of like this. And since I told you, most of the heads of the muscles of the lower leg, so here, are on the top part of the lower leg, we have to be careful not to make too much muscles on the lower part of the lower leg, because it's not quite, this is not coming that far. So we have to watch our reference to try to replicate it, because it's not exactly what I'm doing right now, but it will be. It will connect to this portion here. Yes. And the quads, I will combine them with the iliotibial band, because it will be easier to do everything at once in one mesh. So we will have to put one thing that's going down here, one tendon, and it's connecting to this area of the tibia where this muscle also is connected. It's starting from there. And it's making, by the way, a big kind of portion of the forward, of the front leg. It's not exactly a big portion of the front leg, but it's making shapes in the front leg, which are basically very important. So I will make another muscle here, which is called nobody knows how, but we will make it. And no, I'm lying. There are people who know, and it's just me. I don't know. I know. Super sad, but true. So Nico is acting unprofessional right now. Who cares? It's fine. It's fine. We have to have fun while we are learning. If we don't have fun, it will be not a good process, Okay, now this looks strange, but it's fine. And since this muscle here, which is the tibialis anterior or whatever it's called, I think it's tibialis anterior, it's coming from the tibia on the top, and it's going down, and at some point, as we can see, this is the red muscle here, its tendon is going kind of on this side of the leg, but a little bit more on the front. So let's try to make that and thin this out by just smoothing it. So it's a tendon, and it's going forward, and it's connected somewhere in the bottom here, I think, like this. Or on the side. It's doing something. I'm sure it's doing something, this muscle. So we are all for it. We are all for this muscle. This muscle rules. It's doing something for sure. What? Who knows? Who cares? The idea is that we have to know where it goes. If you know what the muscle is doing exactly, good for you. Some muscles we know what they do, especially the quadriceps. The hamstrings also are helping in bending the leg. No, the hamstrings are helping to bend the leg. So they are bending the legs. By the way, you don't believe it probably, but the calves are not only making us go on our toes, they are also helping to bend the leg, because they are connected to the upper leg bone. So they are connected to the upper leg bone, and they can pull the lower leg bone kind of a little bit. So they are helping in bending the leg. But bending the leg is not ultra important for our survival. Straightening the leg is more important. When we run, especially, straightening the leg is what is kind of pushing us off the ground and making us go faster, not bending the leg. So bending the leg is, yeah, it's underrated, and it's underrated for a reason, because it's not good enough. We have to straighten the leg always. Bend the leg, not so much. So what is happening with this muscle that I'm doing here right now, which is coming from the end of the fibula, the top of the fibula is coming from there, and it's going down, and it's making some kind of shape. So it's not completely out of shape, this kind of muscle. We will see. It's coming down, and it's connected to this other muscle here, which is awkward, and it's coming a little bit behind the ankle, the point of the ankle there, so I'm fine with it. Here we will make it thick, the tendon, because this is not a tendon that we're seeing in the bottom here. This is a fat, the fat of the earth. No, the fat of the heel, of course, the heel fat. Okay, heel fat. And again, I'm telling you, with the great respect, don't be afraid, and don't be disturbed by the fact that there are a lot of muscles, there are a lot of names, even if I've promised that there will be not too many names, but there are some names. Don't be disturbed by this fact, because we will get through those a lot. We will make many legs, so we will get through those names not once, not twice, but at least 3 times. Maybe even 5. Even 7,035 times. We can go through the names of the muscles, and not only the names, the shapes, the functions, and whatever. No, the functions, I'm telling them right now, whatever I know most of them, but then we will not tell them ever again. We will be silent forever about those functions, because they are not needed. What we need is the shape of the muscles, and that's it. That's it mostly, the shape. Okay, I think this is looking relatively fine. Here we are missing something. We are missing this muscle, which is between, which is a muscle 24. Let's see what kind of muscle is there, and you will understand why I don't want to say the names. This is called extensor digitum longus. So 24 muscle is called extensor digital longus, and this muscle actually is responsible for extending the fingers, the toes, without the big toe. Only the 4 toes, which are the smaller ones, and it's coming to here, and here it kind of separates in 4 tendons that are going to the toes. The big toe is extended by, I think, muscle 27, which is extensor hallucis longus, and it's extending exactly only the big toe. So those muscles, they are, so we don't want to know them that much. I will just pick this muscle from here. It will come from the same portion that our tibialis anterior muscle is coming, so this one, and this one will come from this portion again. There will be a hole in here, which is not exactly a hole, but as you can see, this is a tendon mostly, a little bit of a muscle, but tendon mostly. This here is mostly a tendon, most likely. So in the knee area from the front, in this particular area from here like this, we have mostly tendons, bones, a little bit of fat around the patella probably, and that's it. So it's a little bit more detailed, this area. That's why it's the more interesting area is the knee. Many people cannot do the knee. They cannot do it. I mean, they cannot draw it. They are not drawing it. They are not making any knee area. They are connecting the quadriceps muscle with the bottom of the foot muscles, the bottom of the leg muscles, and it's not going well. So if you don't want to be one of those people, try to make a knee. The knee is kind of needed. See what I did there? The knee is needed. We need the knee. We are needy people. Needy people. We need the knee. Now I will make the skin over the knee, or let's say those tendons, which are coming from the quadriceps to the patella, which is the kneecap, and from the patella down, we will make those, and we'll see how it goes. We'll make those and see how it goes. These white things are those tendons. They're coming from this muscle, from this. This is all the quadriceps muscles, and they're connecting to the kneecap. And from the kneecap, we have a tendon going down and connecting to this area here, which is everything that's needed to extend our legs. Those tendons. Of course, the muscles are moving them, so kudos for the muscles, but the tendons are our guys. Let's go and make this a little bit more dynamic, and we will put more detail right now. How to do this? Let's go from the side view. Always use references, as I said, and we will go and put this tendon of a iliotibial band down to the tibia, because this is the tibia, this is the big bottom leg bone or lower leg bone. It's not the fibula is here in the back. So those two tendons, you will see them when you are drawing or when you're looking the leg from the side view. You will see those two things going down, and I may show it to you right now, but I'm just have to do a little bit here, and I will show how this works in real people. Let's see how this works in real people from the side view. This guy is real, we may say. This is 1, and this is 2. So they're not exactly super visible, but they are there. If you know them, as with any anatomy, if you know it, you will be able to draw it or sculpt it. As you can see here, let's try to, oh, nice. Now, the quadriceps ending here, it's continuing to there. The iliotibial band is coming from the top, connecting to the tibia in this area. The hamstrings are connecting to the fibula around this area here. And from this, we have some other muscles, small muscles here. The calves are coming from the back. This is a little bit kind of a bump, which is our fat. And from here we have this, and everything is kind of smooth, especially in normal legs. But we will make a normal leg, we will define those muscles and then smooth them out, which is the idea. You have to know where the muscles are to make them and then smooth them out. This is our tibius anterior or tibialis anterior or whatever it's called, this front muscle here that we have in this area. So yeah, everything is, you have to compare everything to the reality. So watching only this anatomy drawings and learning without explaining yourself what's happening in a real leg is a little bit off. You need to explain to yourself and to your brain what is happening, for God's sakes. So the ass obviously is a little bit bigger than we expected, so I will make it. And I told you, with comparison with the other muscles, we can make it much, much better. Now here, let's try to make this work. So this is the front quad muscle. And usually what I do is I do this side muscle here, the teardrop shape muscle. I do this. And then from it, I have the corner of, I have this corner, because I have done it. I have this corner, which is the corner of the middle quadriceps muscle. And then we have from around here, from the top, we make a little bit of a line that's going down to the knee. And this is our middle muscle, which can be separated, but you will see. And This is our outer quad muscle, which is probably the biggest. It looks pretty big. And the iliotibial band is going over it. So sometimes we even can see a little bit of a bump in this area, but not now. This is a bump from the iliotibial band. It's not from the quadriceps. The quadriceps is pretty huge in this area. It's big. So we have that. It's fine. The quadriceps is our muscle forever. Now we will make this kind of thing the teardrop shape. And then let's just push this in, the sartorius. Sartorius has to know its place in. And sartorius is actually something that separates. It's I don't know if its name is S sartorius because it's S separates, but it separates the quadriceps from the inner thigh muscles. And it's doing a great job of separating. So it's separating muscle, we may say. Nobody says that, but I'm just saying that. But yeah, it separates, so it's fine. It should be fine. If it's not fine, guys, we'll see. So in the next video, we will continue with the foot and continue developing this leg from muscles. To kind of get to this point of the image. Try to achieve the quality of the leg on the image. It's not bad. What is missing here is this fat pad here in the back. Without it, it looks awkward. But I guess it's fine. We have to deal with it. It's a good thing that I can change between shapes, by the way, with Control, Q, and hovering over the shape. Looking good so far. Let's save it and continue in the next video. Okay, what else do we need to do? So we have a pretty nice looking leg over here. The side of the quads here there is nothing too much, so let's do this iliotibial band. Iliotibial band is here, so we can have a little bit of detail. Just for that, we'll do it. This thing that's coming out of the iliotibial band, that's coming through here, we can or not cannot do. We can do it. Why not? It doesn't mean too much. By the way, I told you, when a person is a normal person, not super huge guy or whatever, and even female, when they stand like this and their calves are not flexed, there is a little bit of a thinking here, which is this particular band kind of pressing there a little bit, and it's making this kind of shape. And you will see it in the models when we do it, and we will do it at some point. We will sculpt that, but for now we don't care about it that much. Sartorius coming down. Amazing sartorius. We love you. The longest muscle in the human body. People are always fascinated by the longest thing, the biggest thing, the strongest thing, you know. So the longest muscle in the human body, you probably will remember it. It's the sartorius. It's the longest. He is the longest muscle of them all. Let's see what happens here. So this particular middle muscle of the quads has to go and directly connect to the patella or to the kneecap. So we have to do that. Now we will add a little bit more resolution to the knee area, and then the kneecap. When we are making a knee, sculpting or drawing, we have to draw the kneecap a little bit or sculpt it just to make sure it's there, it's doing something. And there is this band coming from the kneecap and going down, which is the very important thing because it allows us to strengthen our legs. And here in the side of the kneecap, we will have some fat pads, some dimples. It's a little bit random, but especially when the leg is straight like this, we will have a lot of crumpling of the skin there, because the skin is very loose when it's like this, and when we bend our leg completely, the skin is very stretched. So this skin has to stretch a lot. I don't envy the skin on the knee and on the elbow actually of the arm, but on the knee especially, because we are now studying the knee, I don't envy this particular skin. This muscle probably will go against the bone here, because that's how it is in the image. Right here, this green thing. And below it, between the bone, which is the tibia, between the tibia and this calf muscle, the inner calf muscle, which is called, I don't know how, but if you want, we can check it out. Okay, we can check it out. It's 22 and it's called soleus. So it's not a hugely difficult name, soleus, like the sole mio. So it's the sun muscle, soleus. Because sole is sun in I think in Italian, sole is sun, right? So soleus is the sun muscle. In Latin, probably solar or sole again is sun, because Latin and Italian, they have some similar words or same words. Because when we say solar eclipse, it means the covering of the sun. So solar eclipse. Sole, soleus. Interesting. And why this muscle, who is kind of crushed below this other muscle, is called sun muscle, is absolutely beyond me. Probably there's a reason. There is always a reason. Sometimes it's super logical, sometimes not so much. But I don't know. I don't know if we ever know. But I don't know. So let's cut this muscle in half. And by the way, as with the lower leg from the front, this part is lower than this part. The same is in the back. This part is a little bit higher than this part. And in this case, while we see what we see here in our image from Anatomy for Sculptors, they seem that they are kind of the same length or something. But you see, if we go a straight line from here, you will see that this one is a little bit higher, which is the case. I mean, it should be a little bit higher. They are not on the same particular... If you make them on the same level, it will be boring. As I said, don't make boring. Even make one a little bit more up than the other. And this will make it slightly more interesting. Boring. Avoid it. Avoid boringness. We don't like it. Alright, so we have those muscles. We have this soleus muscle in the middle of... The soleus basically is a calf muscle, but it's crushed inside. The same way as the brachialis muscle is crushed from the biceps in the hand, here the soleus is crushed, you know. And it's visible. It's peeking from this side. It's peeking from this side. So it's peeking from both sides, but it's below. And we don't say it's not working, it's magic. I'm sure it is a pretty important muscle and it's working a lot. It's very hard-working muscle, but it's overshadowed by the solar eclipse, which is the upper calf muscle, which is called... We don't know how, but we can check it out. How is it called? It's 20. It's called gastrocnemius. 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 Why gastro? Gastro is something about the gastrointestinal. I mean the thing in the belly here. Gastro. I don't know. There is something wrong here. Or again, I tell you, there is always some kind of logic between those names. If we don't know it, it doesn't mean there is no logic. There is logic, usually. This is a little bit more kind of round muscle, although when we flex it, there is kind of this thing happening here, like a sharp cornering. It's not exactly sharp, but it's kind of a plane change in there when we flex it, only when we flex. If it's not flexed, it's kind of a one mass, which is not that interesting. But when we flex it, it's kind of, wow, we flex it. Now this is the extensor digitum longus, or whatever it was called. It's extending the 4 digits, only the 4, without the 5th I told you. So, you know, bear that in mind. And let's make the foot, because this is the only thing that we haven't made yet. The foot is one of the things that I don't like to do. You know, why? Because first, as I told you back in one of the first lessons, in all my experience of doing characters for games, I have never had to do perfect barefoot foot. Always there was boots, sandals, shoes, whatever. So it was never barefoot. That's one thing. Yes, the basic shape of the foot is nice to know, but it's not absolutely necessary. If you want, of course, to become the greatest artist that has ever stepped foot in this earth, which is absolutely valid, you should probably know it. You should know it. You should know how to do a barefoot properly. And to help you will come this guy with the blue shirt with something here, and this guy will have to help you. And how he will help you? He will go to great lengths to help you to this. And this is very, very good kind of a planes of the foot exercise we can do. Maybe not now, but we can do it at some point. But before that, we will separate our big toe from the other toes. In this skeleton, they are pretty separated. Usually when I'm doing them without a skeleton, without bones, I don't separate them that much. But you have to keep kind of close to the bones when you have a skeleton, because the foot is pretty bony thing is the foot. Not completely though. There are a lot of fat pads, especially in the bottom part of the foot. There are a lot of bones in the top part of the foot and in the side or whatever. There are a lot of bones, but fat pads also. So we have to be careful for the fat pads. Those toes of this skeleton are not necessarily the most accurate toes ever, but I think they will do the job, especially if we go to a X-ray view to see what is happening, how to put it, where to put our toes, this, and this connection, and it will start to get nice. Okay, toes, we have made them kind of, but we need to do more. We need, you know, in order to make any anatomy, doesn't matter what, you have to simplify it. And it's a good thing that our guys from Anatomy for Sculptors book has done that for us and simplified the feet a little bit, so we can have this kind of a bump in this area. Then we will have a down force, well, not force, we will have muscle in here a little bit bumping. We will have kind of a cut under here, because this is our ankle and we have to be able to see the ankle nicely. It has to be visible from the front. It has to make a silhouette of the leg. That's why I'm not putting any muscles or tendons above the ankles, so we can have it nice and easy. And it depends on the development of many of the muscles, on how they will appear. If they are very developed, they can appear strong and thick. If they are not so developed, like in many, like children or females, they can be thin, and you can see not the muscle in some areas, you can see the bones mostly, you can see in some areas the tendons. So you have to be careful on what your subject of drawing is. Let's make the leg, the inside of the leg here, of the foot. This will be a fat pad with a bone. The fat pad also is coming down. In the big toe, we will have digits. And it's looking fine. Maybe not the best you can do, but it's probably the best that I can do. But Nico, you're better than this. I maybe am. So in the bottom, when I make a leg, usually I told you I'm making usually a step in the sand, which is something like this. This is a step in the sand, you know. And when you make something like this as a, this kind of shape, when you make, then your leg will definitely be fine. It will kind of look all right, even from the top. But since we are doing 3D in this case, we have to do better than that. We have to go further than that. Further. It's not easy, but we have to. Here, the bottom part of the foot, according to Proco, which is one of the best anatomy courses in the web, free, most of the part is free, is Proco. I highly, highly recommend it, because only with one anatomy course, like mine, you can do so far, you can go so far. But with couple of anatomy courses, you will be able to kind of put your knowledge into more deeper parts of your brain, we may say, even. Yeah, I said it pretty well. I mean, put your knowledge into a deeper part of your brain, and now you know much, much more. And with many anatomy sources, also your own, for example, feet or legs, you can watch, you will be able to do a lot more. You will be able to do a lot more. Achieve greatness again, I'm saying. The digits, digitorum longus, extensor digitorum longus, because it extends the digits very long. That's why it's longus. No, because it's probably longus is because it's pretty long and narrow muscle. Or sometimes there is extensor digiti longus and extensor digiti shortus. And of course there is no shortus, but I guess one is longus because it's long, the other one is something else because it's short. You never know. Now from the bottom is a nice place to make this kind of things, so your toes will look a bit more natural. And let's do this step-by-step stylization of the toes. So like steps. This is flat on the top, flat here, flat on the bottom, and it goes like steps a little bit. And you don't have to do it, but this steps thing, to make them like steps, is working. Usually it's working. So I guess why not? Okay, so here we have a hole, but this hole is actually not exactly present in the real foot. It's filled with some things which we don't care about because they're not visible. It's kind of a skin in there usually. And inside the skin there's probably a little bit of fat, a little bit of tendons or fascia or whatever. So we don't actually care that much about that area. We have our main thing, which is the quadriceps muscle. We need to even make it better looking. And maybe combine all the muscles together in one mesh, which will make it nicer overall, because we will be able to kind of smooth some forms. Not everything has to be so separated. And also we will be able to replicate this leg to the other side. Now it's just one leg, but it could be another leg on the other side if we want. This the calf muscle from the inside here, I made it too big, so I will just dial it down a little bit. We don't need it to be such a big muscle. We need it if we are making a Hulk or some very strong creature or a superhero, then yes. But for a normal person, like we are doing now, it's not that needed, so it's absolutely fine to do without it. Here in the back, let's see what we can do. We can separate a little bit those muscles to make them a bit more interesting, but not too much. Yeah, this is the inside. We have this little tiny guy here, which is not that tiny, by the way, in some people. As you saw, the super muscular guy from the back, he had this muscle pretty developed. I don't know what he's doing to develop this muscle, but it's crazy. Some people can develop whatever muscles. Of course, in those guys, they are amazing for us artists. For them, they're not that amazing for themselves because they're playing with their health. They're getting a lot of chemistry, and this chemistry is making their not only their muscles big, but their hearts also, because the heart is a muscle. Their hearts also get bigger, and their life cycle is getting shorter. Some of these guys, the huge guys, are dying in the age of like 27, 35, 45, something like this, because of all the bad things that they have taken to the ears to make themselves bigger and bigger. And the vascular system is getting bigger also. The heart is getting more work, and they're shortening their lives usually for this. So this is one of the sports with a very short lifespan, we may say, the bodybuilding. But for us, bodybuilding is amazing because we can see this thing. And as you can see here, the middle quadriceps muscle is kind of cut in half. Because it's not cut in half. There is muscle in here, muscle fibers in here, muscle fibers in here. And in the middle, there is a tendon, a little bit, that those muscle fibers are attached to. That's why there is no bulk in there. And with very bulky people, it's visible that there is separation in that part. And that part is kind of different in different people. So this separation, it's almost the same actually, so it's fine. Yeah, in very bulky people, the muscles, they behave a little bit differently. I mean, they're just more bulky. All the muscles are getting bigger, and with that, we're having strange shapes somehow, somewhere over the rainbow. So we have to be aware of that. The butterfly shape of the ass, amazing ass. No, it's not amazing ass, but it's good enough ass for us. Let's go and make this, the hamstrings, a little bit better. I mean, how the time flies. This video is already 20 minutes long. How is this happening? I mean, how the time flies when we are having fun. And I hope you're having fun, because I am. I like to do anatomy. Let's do this green muscle peeking down. Let's do this muscle, the not so green, coming here and connecting with the tendon down. This one is here. This one is coming from the bottom. It's going up. Very cool. Biceps femoris, we know. There is a muscle. Ah, no, this is the quadriceps here. So we have it. This is, by the way, this peeking here is the quadriceps under the iliotibial band. This sheet of paper. It's not paper. If it was paper, it would be very bad for us. But it's not paper, so it's fine. If it was paper, will it be doomed? But it's not paper. So relax, it's not paper. It's not. I will do another muscle in here, this light green one, which probably is the same one as this one here peeking from the bottom. So basically this muscle of the hamstrings is covering this light green one, and it's kind of above it, and it's squeezing it. And this muscle is like, oh no, I'm squeezed below, what would I do? What's happening? Why, man? This is your fate, they say. But it's peeking. It's peeking from this side. It's peeking from below here. So it's kind of peeking. And when you are seeing this kind of very strange things going on in the hamstrings of very, very muscular people, then you will know those muscles, they are just interesting. They are pretty interesting. Iliotibial band going down here, connecting to the tibia because it's iliotibial band. If it was iliofibular band, it will connect to the fibula in the back. Fibular it will be, not fibular. Fibular, because it's fibula. You know, I was having a very hard time remembering the tibia and the fibula. At some point I was like, was it fibula and... No, was it fibia and tibula? Or tibula and fibia? I don't know. But at the end I kind of remembered them, at least for now. If I don't use them for a while, I will definitely forget them. I will forget which one is tibia, which one is fibula, and if it's tibia or fibia, and tibula or fibula, you know? But we know now that it's tibia, the big one, and fibula, the small one, on the lower leg. So I know I confused you a lot, and you probably just now want to give me a bad review, but don't just do it. Just wait. We can do another legs and nice stuff here. So just relax. Everything should be fine for us. I don't think we need to combine those. I think the leg is looking quite well like this, with all the muscles visible, interestingly. Let's just separate the muscles on the upper portion here. So the tensor fascia latae, amazing. Tensor fascia latae. I mean, tensor fascia latae is starting to grow on me. Not my muscle is growing. The actual name of this muscle is kind of... I'm starting to like it. Because my favorite muscle, many of you know probably if they watch my courses, especially the head anatomy exercises course, my favorite muscle is sternocleidomastoid muscle, which is here in the neck. From the back of the ear, going down, wrapping around, and connecting on the clavicle and a little bit on the sternum. That's why it's called sternocleidomastoid. This is the mastoid process of the mandible, or whatever it's called, I'm not sure, but it's here mastoid. So yeah, sternocleidomastoid muscle is my favorite, but this one, tensor fascia latae, starting to grow on me. It's pretty interesting muscle. I've seen in Italy some sculptures that they have this muscle, so they knew about this muscle even in the times of Michelangelo. And I'm joking, of course, Michelangelo knew about the muscles more about we will ever know probably, and how they do, and because he was drawing and sculpting not only from pictures from the internet, but mostly from life. And from life you can learn a lot more. That's definitely. He has great teachers also. So the old masters, we probably will never be as good as them because they have much more practice than us. They didn't have phones or YouTube or TikTok or whatever. They didn't have those things to distract them. So they were working constantly, day and night, night and day, and day and night. And night and day. And I was about to say day and night also, but it will be too much, I think. So it's fine. Don't do it. It's enough. Enough about the day and night. This seems a little bit awkward because this should be only a tendon, but it looks like something else. I don't know what to do. But I should know, right? Since I'm the teacher here. Who would know if not the teacher? Let's leave it like this. Or let's just cut it here. I don't care. I mean, it's better to cut it like this because it is looking like this on the surface. And then I will take the knee area and extrude it a little bit so we can accomplish this. And it will be immediately better. Yeah, I think now it is better. Okay guys, we have to finish this video, but in the next video we will do another leg from our extensive collection of legs. We might want to do legs from planes, and it's not very, you know, it's this is from Azzaro plane figures, planes of the body. It's not very clear what is happening here, but I guess we will be able to accomplish something if we put our minds into it. So, this is our leg with muscles. I hope you understand some of the things about the muscles. Leg with planes will help us understand how exactly those muscles are going into forms which are together without too much detail, just the planes. And I think it would be pretty nice. You can see the hamstrings here, how they are like straight down and then going a little bit inward. We have this fat pattern here. We have the calves, of course. We have the quadriceps, the side of the quadriceps peaking. We have the huge portion of the quadriceps here. We have the sartorius going, which is not exactly visible here, but it's not about the muscles here. It's about the shapes that they are making and how these shapes can be stylized so we can easily draw or sculpt them. That's all about it. I mean, this is all about stylizing a little bit in the beginning when we make the main shapes of the leg, of the arm, whatever, stylizing them so we can make them with nice planes, whatever we need, and then putting details like tendons, like muscle fibers or whatever we need to put after the stylization. If we start directly with the detail, we will be doomed. We will not be able to do it. Alright, guys. See you in the next one. So now we will try to do the planes of the legs. So this is from, as I told you, Azzaro planes of the body. And I screenshot it and paste it here, but I'm mentioning it, so it's fine. The idea is that those are not complete planes. So a plane is usually some flat surface. Those surfaces are not completely flat, but they're close to flat. They're a little bit curved, some of them. But it's fine, because this is very important. As I told you in the previous example, you need to be able to simplify the forms in order to make them in the beginning and then add detail after. If you are not able to simplify the forms and make the base of whatever, it doesn't matter if it's anatomy or anything else, it will be hard. It will be hard directly to go to kind of a detailed shape. You have to be either very experienced or very stupid to go this way. But yeah, we will go with removing this because it's time for us to start working without the bones. And I will just add a sphere here. If you don't know how to do it, just maybe check out some videos in the YouTube. Yeah, it will be cheaper. But if you want some complete tutorial, I have courses about Blender, and especially sculpting and character creation. Although my beginner courses for Blender, there are two of them, with the mouse and with the rabbit. You are making mouse or a rabbit. They are for everything, sculpting, modeling, whatever. So now, again, first what we do is make the bottom part smaller. It's always, we don't even look at this. We just want to make a base of a foot, of a leg. Foot also, but later. Okay, S, we need S. We need S shape from the side view. This is the side view, so we need S shape. Let's see, by the way, let's add a mirror, and it will be easier for us to judge the things if we have the other leg. So this will be the knee area, this will be narrower, and something like this will be in order. Of course, if we remesh with Ctrl R in Blender, in other programs there are other shortcuts, but in Blender it's Ctrl R, we can go ahead and now add a little bit of more detail. This is our ass area. Gluteus medius and gluteus maximus are called those muscles. They are easy to remember. Gluteus, not that hard. I mean, they are not tensor fascia latae, which is pretty difficult to remember, I would say, this one. Tensor fascia latae. Let's make it a little bit. Tensor fascia latae. Let's make the sartorius muscle going down, the longest muscle in the human body again, and I will tell it again and again, because it is fascinating. The longest muscle, the biggest bone, everything is on the leg, you know. So leg is, basically we can say legs are the America of the body, because in America everything is bigger, everything is the best. So in the leg you have the longest muscle, the bigger bone, the strongest bone, which is the femur bone. So yeah, legs are the Americas of the body. Except in some people who don't train legs, for them probably the arms are the America of the body, but it doesn't matter. It's, yeah. We will make here our hamstrings, and from the back, I don't know if I told you, but always when we draw the hamstrings from the back, this is my program for drawing, it's called Epic Pen, if somebody is interested. We do the ass, and I usually, especially when it's a male ass, I do it kind of like a squarish shape a little bit, like this, kind of. And then our quadriceps will be visible on the corner, and our hamstrings will start in the middle, kind of in the middle. So we will have this in the front, from the back we are looking from the, and this will peak from the side and it will disappear at this point. So if you do this, your leg will immediately look better. And also from here we can have a bump. From around this area we will have a bump outward, and then we will have our calves going down. We have to be very careful again with those mistakes that I mentioned. So when we're making a leg, don't start it with a straight line, don't start it with a slightly curve. It's kind of like 45 degrees at least curve down, and then it starts. But if the legs are together, so we go straight down first, or a little bit outward. Even in a male, you go a little bit outward like this, you see, a little bit out, and then you go down. You may go down completely and then in. And then we go down here a little bit in, and then we go out a little bit, because we want to get this and this shape in here, this curve, this actual curve is very important. So this actual curve, then we have this kind of a straight down line for the knee area. This is the tendon here. This thing is the tendon of a isotibial band. Yeah, isotibial band, I think it was called this white band here around the quads on the side. And its tendon is here, but this outer tendon, more outer tendon, is the tendon of one of the hamstring muscles. It's this one here, and it's connecting to the end of the fibula, and then we go outward a little bit, then in. And the idea is that those things, those extremities, they lay mostly on one line. So here I messed up. Let me try if I can erase it. Yes, I can. So this line is fine. We have to be careful, everything to go to this line again. So like this, yeah. If you make it to go like this down, and then you make this thing, then your leg will go outward, and it's gonna be a little bit awkward, but it depends. If your legs are not exactly together, one to one, they are spread, which you should do, by the way. In most sculpts and drawings, your legs shouldn't be exactly straight down, but if you know how to draw them or sculpt them straight down, you will know how to do them the other way around. But these bottom legs here are looking awful. So I was doing them like this, almost like this, which is an absolute madness, because this is completely symmetrical. So this leg is completely symmetrical to both sides. It just shouldn't be like this. It should be like this, then straight down, then from here we will have one line curving here. This will start lower, and this will go outward. I mean the feet. Here we will have our knee. This is very much kind of a like I'm drawing it super like with planes and everything, but just to show how the flow is going, like this, going flow like this, and here. It's not straight, it's going this way, then this way, then this way. It's a little bit, you will be able to do it after a bit of a work. Of course, in the beginning, it's not that easy, especially if you are used to draw legs in a certain way, or if you haven't drawn or sculpted legs at all in your life, which is absolutely possible, because I haven't actually done too many legs until I started training for them, like maybe 10 years ago, because I realized I'm a character sculptor and I was pretty good at it, but I can't sculpt legs very well. I always had to use a lot of references, and I was wondering which shapes are which. So I started doing a lot of leg studies in order to be able to do it a little bit more easy without reference. Although using reference is always a nice thing, but sometimes you just want to know how to do it without reference. And to do that, you have to use enormous amount of references to learn to do it without reference. Now, where to put our knees? It's not very easy answer, and I will not answer that. I will answer it, but later. First, we need to put our feet, and then we will measure the distance between the bottom of the feet to the knee, and the distance between this knee and around where our femur ends here in the top. Okay, those legs already don't look too bad, but remember also from the side view, and I will say that to every leg I do here in this exercises course, because this is course for leg exercises, and I will mention that every time because it's super important, the legs from the side, so from the profile view, to look like this a little bit. Don't make them straight, like on a straight line. They will look kind of not good. And also your character, usually, if they are straight like this, your character will fall back. Yeah, it will fall back, it will be like this, and it's boring, it's super boring. If you do it like this, even more kind of defined, as you can see, it's way better. It's looking more interesting, maybe not so defined, maybe not so much, but it's looking kind of better, I think. So be careful, just do it like this. So if we go a straight line from the front portion of the leg down, it should land probably around the top of, or the most forward portion of the toes, this line. So everything is behind this line. So it's going backwards, knee area, a little bit backwards, not so much, and we go like this. If the line is landing anywhere else, I mean on the foot, it's gonna work probably, but it's not gonna work super fine. We don't have a side view here, unfortunately. Of the female one, we have side view, and on the female one, this looks pretty good. And if we go to this line, it will land on the foot, but I usually make the feet or the legs a little bit more dynamic. So a real leg like this one, it's not so dynamic. But our idea is not to make completely realistic feet. We want to make a little bit more dynamic and interesting feet while we draw or sculpt them. If we make them completely realistic, it's fine again. So if we have to be completely realistic, let's see one realistic feet. This is realistic, yes, it's a scan, but I think it's tilted backwards. It cannot stay this way, in my opinion. This is not the center of mass, will go back, so this is not completely fine. Let's find something that's fine. Like this one is looking relatively fine. So if we go with a straight line from this portion down, it will go around, yeah, not exactly the toes, but yeah, maybe the little toe. Yeah, the little toe, as you can see, it's kind of on landing on the little toe. So the other toes, of course, are forward, but if we make it a little bit more dynamic, it will be exactly on the little toe. And it's very nice to draw it like this. So you make the S curve, down, straight line, then back, then down a little bit forward, and then a little bit backward line. And this is your back of the leg. The forward part of the leg is down, maybe a little bit backward. Then you go forward a little bit. Then you go backwards. Two lines like step here, because this is your knee area. Forward a little bit, and then outward. And here you have to always make this kind of a curve in order to go to the legs. This curve we will do at some point. But first, let's continue working on the planes of the legs, because we got a little bit distracted. I got distracted, yes, I'm sorry about that. I sometimes get distracted by explaining things, which should be fine, because this is a course, actually, for explaining things. And I have to explain a lot. There are a lot of things when we're learning anatomy. Now, hamstrings, calves, feet. Let's do the feet like this. When we're sculpting feet, always in the beginning, when we are extracting them from the geometry of the leg, they will look hideous. Just hideous, just something that you never want to see in your life. But at some point, if we are patient, a little bit patient, and kind of try to do it, I will extrude, I mean not extrude, but make a little bit more geometry. This I will push inward, because the ankle area is kind of thin, especially just above these parts of the ankles here. It's kind of thin, so we have to take care of it. This, we know the inner one is a little bit higher than the outer one. And we're just making a base leg. Then we will start doing our planes. Because if we don't know how to do the base leg, planes, no planes, it doesn't matter that much. We will be screwed. So base leg is important. Usually, if we want to make a nice leg, we want to separate the big foot with the small foot. No, the big toe from the other toes, we kind of need to separate it, and this way we'll have something like we have here. This is going inward a little bit like that. This portion, by the way, of the ankle, the inner portion of the ankle, is what bone? The tibia bone, the big lower leg bone. So this bone is kind of more forward, a little bit more forward. So it's a little bit more this way than this one. So the inner one is a little bit more forward than the outer one. The outer one is kind of in the middle, a little bit more on the back. But the inner one, and you can see it in your own leg. I'm watching my own leg. The inner one, let's try to see the inner one actually, so we'll be able to show it better. This is the inner portion of the leg. So the inner one, if this is the middle between here and here, the inner one will be like in the front portion. The outer one will be kind of in the middle, but a little bit more in the back. So bear that in mind. It's not that important. It's a little bit of a detail, a little bit more advanced detail. It's not kind of a beginner thing, but still, if you know that, and of course, always check your sources. I'm telling you this because I saw it on my feet. So if your feet are different, check it out and measure it if you want. And maybe you will see something different on your feet. And you will say, but Nico, what's happening? You are lying to us. Why? We trusted you. Yeah, maybe you will say that. Maybe sometimes I can be deceiving, but I'm trying to be honest. I'm trying to be completely honest. Nobody can be completely, we can be completely honest, but maybe sometimes we say things that are not correct because we believe in them and our beliefs are wrong. So, always check what's happening. Don't ever trust nobody, even me, completely. This is our line here because this muscle, tibialis anterior, is here. We know this muscle, we trust this muscle. I don't like this muscle, but I don't have to like it. I like other muscles, so I have preferences for the muscles, as we see. Yeah. Tensor fascia latae, for example, I like it. It's looking great. Let's see what's happening here. So, maybe our knees are not in the right position, but it's not a problem. What is a problem if your legs are like this? So, this could be, it's possible, but if the legs of the person are a little bit curved, they are, if he is a rider or cowboy or whatever, maybe his legs can be like this. But usually, normal human legs, when the feet are kind of close to each other or touching, then also the knee area will be very close to each other or even touching. Here also on the top, in my case, I was looking myself in the mirror and this is completely like that. There is no gap in here. Probably I have a little bit fat legs, I don't know, or muscular, maybe they are muscular. But in a Hulk character, if his legs are together, there will be no gap whatsoever here in the top. Here probably, maybe we can get some gap. Here on the bottom also, but here on the top, just above the knees, no gap whatsoever. This will also touch. So the calves will also touch. Let's see what happens. Okay, it looks relatively cool. The feet are looking pretty ugly. They're very hideous. They look like alien feet, as we know, as we see. But hopefully, with a little bit of work, we can make it look relatively fine. This will go back a little bit. We will cut this area so we can make our toes look nicer. And let's fix this. And yeah, it's not the best, but it's working. Now we start to make the planes, because for now we didn't make any planes. We were just making main shapes. Now we will make the planes. So in Blender there is a brush called Scrape Fill Brush. So this Scrape Fill Brush will allow us to make flat planes wherever we want. Of course, then we'll have to move a little bit with our grab brush and maybe make flat plane on this portion here, inner flat plane. We will cut with the Draw Sharp brush. The Draw Sharp brush is very important brush for us. And also we have pinch brush, which we can make sharp things like pinching them, which also is helpful when you're making planes. So those are usually the tools that we use. Draw Sharp brush, and in this case Scrape Fill brush. Those kind of brushes we are using. This is representing our favorite tensor fascia latae muscle. Tensor Fascia Latte. It looks like some kind of coffee brand. Tensor Fascia Latte. Your coffee for your life. Your coffee for your life. Yeah. What awakes you in the morning is a Tensor Fascia Latte. The most gentle coffee in the world. Yes, you can see I'm trying to achieve relatively what I see in the concept. It's not a concept, but it's in our purpose. This is a concept for us. So it's fine. From the side view, let's see what's happening from the side view. We don't actually have a nice side view here, which is, I'm sad about it. I'm sad about it. I'm sad about it. Why I'm sad? Because side view would be so great. But we have to see what we can do without a side view, with just a little bit of side view and with back view. But it's looking kind of a plainish, so it's fine. Usually when I'm making stylized legs, and we should do a stylized leg at some point, this is basically a good base to make a stylized leg. I mean, I make this kind of a knee, like flat, vertical plane, and then flat plane going backwards, which should be a little bit more flat like this, not indented, whatever. Okay, let's go and make this. What is this? The tendon of the iliotibial band. Iliotibial band. Yeah, I've heard about this band. This is a very nice heavy metal band, iliotibial band. It stands on the quads section of the leg, and it's making appearance in there sometimes. It depends on the weather. Iliotibial band. Yeah. Put your hands together for the iliotibial band. But it was iliotibial band, right? I'm not mistaken, it should be. Now, and from this portion, we cannot see quite much what kind of planes are there, but I guess there will be one something like this. So side plane, which will be the tendon of the iliotibial band plus the tendon of the biceps femoris, actually is this portion of the hamstrings here. So those two tendons should be making this kind of a, let's say, flat plane, although they sometimes are separated. But here with those planes, we are not trying to put too much detail. We are trying not to separate all the muscles. On the contrary, we are trying to combine some of the muscles together to make one shape, because they make one shape combined. That's what we're trying to achieve right here. Right here. Now, let's go. This will be our great and very happy calf muscle from the inside. Then we will pinch this area, so we'll make it sharper. We will see how we will go with the... Yeah, let's make it more stylized, more plainish, more planar. We will go from the back in just a little while. We are kind of okay with the front. It's not the best. Let's see the front exactly. Okay, yeah, we'll have some interesting shaping here. This is coming to the inner point of the leg and going to the big toe. That's a very good shape here, and if we kind of make it in our models and then smooth it out, it should look pretty realistic and nice. And this, by the way, shouldn't be that much back. I told you it's kind of in the middle, this one. A little bit more backwards than the middle, probably, but not quite that much back. The inner is much forward, but that's what we're seeing here, so it's fine. And the inner one is much more upward, not much, but it's more upwards. And the outer one is more downwards. So we have a lot of rules about the legs that hopefully we'll be able to fulfill those rules. I'm not sure how to do the side leg. Let me see here what kind of plane we should use. Okay, yeah, something like I'm doing, something like that. Maybe a little bit of a plane in here, something like this happening. And this is very curvy plane, so it's not exactly defined too much, but we will do it whatever. This one is going down until it reaches the front of this thing here. Yeah, there are interesting stuff going on and I'm not completely aware, but it's not a problem. The idea is not to make it completely perfect, to make it relatively fine so it will look nice at the end. That's our goal. Let's see it from the back and start doing this ass from the back. I don't know, this is a badass from the back. And by badass, I mean it doesn't look quite nice because of all the planes. And, you know, creating planes of the ass actually probably is not the best idea. But since this guy decided that he has to go and make and invent all the planes of the body, he had to do it somehow. So we will trust him because he's a very good artist. I don't know, Azaro, if you know, but he's a very good 2D artist. He's actually doing mostly pictures, not pictures, but paintings. And he's very good at it. He's amazing in anatomy. Unlike us, as you can see, we're not amazing at anatomy. We are good, okay with anatomy, we may say. But he's amazing. So we have to sometimes trust. Of course, if we know a lot about the anatomy, if we know a lot of things, we can even try. Yeah, it's a little bit arrogant to try to make it a bit more interesting, to make it better, to make it more custom for us. And if I want to make this ass more custom, it shouldn't be that planar, because planes of the ass, come on. Ass is so round, there shouldn't be that much planes. Although I told you I'm making the ass, usually when I make ass, and I sometimes make ass, when I make it kind of squarish, especially the male ass. The female though, ooh, let me see if he made the planes of the ass of the female. Yeah, they're much more like smooth. They're not complete like squarish planes. So I agree with that. I agree. Let's make the ass of the male hard ass. So male is a hard ass and the female is a soft ass. That should work. That should work. Soft ass and hard ass. Overall, ass is an ass. It's not exactly that, but yeah. I'm not sure what we can do here, but definitely we will make one plane on the side like this. So one plane here. So we are making this plane. Then we are making one plane on the sides. And then we're going with this kind of a roundish shape here. We don't have a choice too much. This is a plane, this is a plane. Defined. Relatively defined. From the side view, we don't have a side view. We will actually have to save often, because otherwise we are doomed. 30 minutes now are passed, so obviously planes of or overall legs are not as easy to make and not as fast. But this video I will make it a little bit longer, because we are almost at the end of our plane leg making journey, so we don't have to do it on another video. This should be enough for one video, and maybe some of the next videos, when we're making different types of legs, will be a little bit longer than the first videos. For, you know, first videos I tried to make them 20-25 minutes. Now we will go to like 30-40 minutes even on a video, and I guess that should be fine. I mean, the length of the video shouldn't be a problem. If you're watching at home, you will just pause at some point, go drink some water, do some stuff, then turn it on again. If you're watching in Udemy, live, I mean online, you will be able to just pause and go, and Udemy should remember where you are. So I don't think the length of the video is that important. What is important is the message. The actual message in the videos should be important. So this is, I mean, the Achilles tendon is pretty defined right here. And we have this kind of thing going on. Let's see a little bit more on the bottom. Yeah, you see how this tendon is going in very thin and then going outward a little bit thicker to the heel area. And we are making this heel area sharp in this edge, in this position. If you are brave enough to draw the planes of the legs, it will be amazing. I'm not brave enough, that's why I'm sculpting it, because I'm not brave enough to draw. Drawing them, probably I can do it, but it will take me maybe more time. I'm not used to drawing that much, as you know, as you can see. I was drawing for you guys here just because with drawing and sculpting together, I think it's the best way to learn the shapes and forms. Okay, we have it. I think we are getting there very quickly. This is a sharp corner here. And from the side view, we should be able to see this plane going a little bit outward like this, I guess. But pretty cool anyway. This Azaro planes of the body and along with the planes of the head, they are sold like figurines or STL files. I'm not sure exactly, but they're sold in one website in the internet, so you can check them out if you're interested, of course. And it's very helpful for all anatomy to have a figurine like this. The other way to do it is just watch this figurine and make it yourself, sculpt it yourself. Of course, when you sculpt it yourself, you have to use it yourself, because I'm not sure you will be allowed to sell it, since it's not exactly your idea, these planes of the body. So be careful. That's what I'm saying. Let's see where the knees are. Are the knees on the right position here? And let's see the front of the knee area. Okay, good. This is fine here, I think. I think it's fine. We can use a little bit more push this area. But are the knees? Let's see. From the front view, if we go, and let's go with this distance from around here to around here. And it's very easy because we have squares in here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. So 1.5 squares, 2.5 squares will be the middle. Maybe the knees should go a little bit more upwards. So they are tiny bit down. You have to always check, by the way. If you don't check this, you will end up with huge thighs and not so huge bottom portion of the leg. So the bottom portion of the leg should be relatively big. And now it's looking much better, I think. So we have the planes of the leg. Next, we will continue by making probably only a foot. Yeah, separate foot, just to see what's happening.